Good morning, beautiful people. It is Monday, May 5th. Jeez. Happy Memorial Day. Now listen, Memorial Day in itself is not something we should be happy about. It's something that is a little bit of a shot of reality across the bow every single year, that this freedom and this world that we live in was not without sacrifice. They say that all gave some gave all, in reference to the military of the United States of America. The women and men that signed the line saying, hey, I know what could potentially happen to me, but I would like to protect this country. And although you might not be for the war, you might be very against the war like a lot of people, and a lot of wars might not make a lot of sense to a lot of people, you have to be for the warrior. And the warriors that left themselves and left their bodies on the line and at battle is who we celebrate today. Memorial Day weekend is a big day. It's a big weekend for those of us who have 4 seasons. It's the opening of the summer. It is the opening of spring, and it is a celebratory day with a lot of tradition of showing a lot of respect to those who came before us, put their life on the line for us, and ultimately lost their battle while we won the war. So shout out to all of them, T's and P's, to the families that have ever been affected by military loss, and we can't thank you enough. Happy Memorial Day to you. Today we have a great conversation. The match 2 was not a dud. The match 2 was not like the match 1. The match 2 was not like Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy taking on Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff. The match 2 was awesome. The match 2 made me realize that NASCAR wasn't even on. Brad Keselowski, shout out to you getting a win. I had no idea because my eyes were glued to a rainy, gloomy, doomy golf course in southern Florida while 4 goats took each other on in fantastic fashion. A little rocky off the start. Phil Mickelson off the first tee. Tom Brady for the first 15 holes. Peyton Manning hit one in the neighborhood, but the only thing that was hot off the start was Tiger Woods. Then the show obviously went on and on and on. Tom Brady holes out from 150 yards for an eagle, almost gets combated by Tiger Woods draining like a 90-foot putt for eagle. It was electric. I thought at the beginning they were trying to figure out how they were going to cover it. I think the idea and the decision was made, we'll let the players do most of the talking, then commentators come in on the other side of that. Early, though, some of the players' microphones weren't working. I think some of the players, since they hit were bad shots, were not trying to talk as much, and the commentators weren't trying to step on anybody. So for like the first 2 holes, there was not much said by anybody. It was kind of a quiet, it felt like a Big Brother type situation. Fly on the wall, watching these 4 electric athletes take each other on in golf. But then they started getting into a rhythm. Peyton started playing good golf, so Peyton started chirping and telling great stories. Tiger was even starting to, hey, Pards, here's where you need to putt. Phil Mickelson, I thought was going to be the hero of the whole thing, because not only was he entertaining and talking about big, high, delicious bombs. Not only was he talking about that and showing off his beautifully shaved legged calves, I mean, they look great. His tan was flawless. But listening to him break down that chip where he said, now, normally I wouldn't do this, but with the wet grass, I'm going to punch it right into the side here. It should check up, and then it'll check up right next to the thing. And I was like, well, damn, I used to watch the Golf Fix, okay? I used to watch Golf Fix, 2 a.m. Guy would put a pool noodle in his arm, then he would hit it into a net, and then a simulator would be like, they wouldn't show you the full shot, and he was like, just like I said, right? So you never really get a chance to see the whole thing. Yes, I honestly thought yesterday that Phil Mickelson taught me how to golf. The way he was breaking things down, Charles Barkley got a great shot. He's like, always had that one friend at too annoying or whatever. I loved Phil Mickelson whenever he was doing that. I enjoyed the entire thing. At one point, Peyton told Tiger Woods to go pull the stick. I hope to one time in my life get a chance to say to Tiger Woods, hey, why don't you go pull that stick for me? Because Tiger was doing that to Peyton, by the way, a couple different times. Listening to Tiger talk about why he was doing what and Phil do the same damn thing was amazing. And then, obviously, Tom Brady did not have his best golf outing. And Tom looked exactly like a guy who that was probably his 2nd or 3rd round of golf. They talked to him before the whole thing started, and he said he played 18 in the morning, and then he was putting up some more shots. And he said, Phil and Tiger both hit like 3 shots. I've hit 3,000 shots. I don't think he was lying. I think he was trying to find his golf game within the last 48 hours, and he didn't, but He found it enough to put the most electrifying shot that happened the entire day, the hole out from 150. He putted one in for eagle, which got him back in the game. And I thought there towards the end, Tom Brady was going to be Tom Brady. Like I thought whenever, all these stories about Tom Brady that we've all heard and seen. He's been to 9 Super Bowls, won 6 of them. All these 28-3 game where he even took a shot at the Falcons yesterday. He said, it's not really Atlanta, it's the Eagles one that kind of gets me. He's not over the Eagles one just yet, which is why Peyton kind of fanned the flame a little bit. But I thought towards the end there, if he was golfing like I do, every once in a while, now he was incredibly sober, but for me, once I have like maybe my 10th or 11th beer and I'm on hole 12 or 13 and I chip in maybe or hit one in from 150, not that I've ever done what he did, but if I ever chip one in, Big Mo gets on my side. Big momentum starts getting on my side, and I step up to that next tee box with the most confidence you could possibly have. Then you see Tom step up there, he's got his damn 3-wood. I'm like, hey, Tom, get the driver out. Okay, your fairway wood ain't worth a damn anyways. I think if Tom hits his driver after chipping in there, and I think it was a par 3 the next one, but after that, he hits the driver, I think Tom Brady's all the way back in this thing, and we're potentially talking about a different outcome, but we're not. Right now, what we're talking about is Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning being undefeated as a golf tandem, which is what I said would happen, by the way, whenever this game was floated out to begin with. Peyton Manning and Tiger Woods, good friends. And you could tell, by the way, you could tell that they've golfed plenty of occasions. You could tell that they got along. There was a lot of chitter chatter happening. Hey, Pards, read here. What percent? 95, 105, whatever that means. They've golfed. They've hung out. They've had drinks together. Those two good friends. I'm not sure Phil and Tom have been best friends for a long time. I think they would be good friends, by the way. Maybe a friendship has blossomed through this whole thing. But I think the chemistry of Tiger and Peyton was a big deal yesterday. I think they should have made Peyton putt that out at the end, by the way. Mm-hmm. Hole 18, 2 win it, up 1. Tiger does an incredible putt there, almost seals that thing away. I think they should have made Peyton tap that in. I think Peyton was actually going over to tap it in, and they said no. He didn't know what to do. Like, this isn't really my world. They're all handshaking. All right, I'll scoop this thing up. I'm not scared of it. But I thought from beginning to end, it was like, 5 hours long or something like that. Mm-hmm. Then obviously Charles Barkley gets a double bogey. Couldn't do the bogey or better challenge there at the end. Interesting. I like Charles Barkley on the call. I like Justin Thomas on the call. I think Immelman was the other guy, and then whatever other, and Amanda Balionis. I thought it was very, very well done. I think the first couple holes, they had some technology issues, but I think that thing was very, very well done, and I'm thankful for it, and I look forward to the match 3 and the match 4, and hopefully this becomes an actual thing that the PGA tries to do because it was entertaining as hell.
Yeah, it was so much better because like Phil loves to talk, and him teaching teaching Brady on like literally every putt and almost every shot around the green, and then on the layup, like I just need you here in this part of the fairway, it'll be fine. Like that was fascinating to see, and I think it was much better just because they had their partner to talk to, so it just spurs on more conversation. Like towards the end, I don't think Tiger talked for like the last 5 holes, and if that was the match 1, that would have been tough to. Yeah.
Tiger probably wins the Masters, by the way. Hey, he was. I bet you every other PGA. Brooks Koepka lost $100,000 or whatever for Tom chipping in. Mm-hmm. Brooks was having a good time. Brooks was watching that going, son of a bitch. The big cat is back, isn't he? The big T-Dub is back. Golf, by the way. BK, JT, T-Dub, PM. Feels like golf is a big first letter of your name type nickname place. If a guy's name is Tiger, though, let's just stick with Tiger as opposed to T-Dub. But everything else, Justin Thomas, I think, aside from Tom Brady, who after the Howard Stern conversation and then after his golf round yesterday, and I don't think his mic wasn't working the first few holes, so he seemed like a dud, I think, early, and it wasn't his fault. But after Tom Brady has a terrible, terrible, despicable golf round there early, he became relatable to me. He was no longer this alien. Like, I think if Tom Brady goes out there and just slices and dices that entire course, and maybe he plays how he'll play whenever he retires someday, because like he said, I'm still trying to win Super Bowls, I think people would still hate him. I think I like Tom Brady a lot more after yesterday. I think listening to him kind of give and take with Chuck, and then his PG-13 things he was doing to Matt Castle, we need to find out what happened to Matt Castle, by the way. That was PG-13. Wow. I think Tom Brady yesterday was made to look like a human in the situation that he was in. You're talking about people, too. These guys are what? A couple $1 billion worth of money probably combined between all of them, endorsements and business ventures and stuff like that. Just downpour, where they're making no money off of this. Now, granted, there's a lot of exposure and things of that nature. Tiger Woods got tiny little calves. He probably should have, but those are tiny little Evan Foxy calves.
Oh, yeah.
He has tiny little Evan Foxy calves. I mean, tiny little calves. Did not expect that from Tiger, especially a guy that's so explosive. Hey, maybe Foxy's onto something growing up on a country club golf course with those tiny little calves.
That's right. I mean, he's a good golfer. He played well. Tiny calves. Who knows?
But Tiger looked like a human yesterday. There was a couple laughing moments for him. There's a couple of this. There's a little of that. Then Tom looked like a human. The chip in with the thing. I mean, it was just like, I like Tom a lot more after yesterday. I like Tiger a lot more after yesterday. I like Phil a lot more after yesterday. Peyton. I like Justin Thomas a lot more than I did going into yesterday. And by the way, we were public enemy number 1 of Justin Thomas. We hate Justin Thomas here because Justin Thomas kicked somebody off the course who was heckling him. We're like, hey, Justin, I can't take the heat. Get the hell out of the kitchen, pal. Hey, that's what people are standing there. That's what they're there for. We hate him. We thought that was. By the way, now that we know Justin Thomas a little bit better, okay, and we like Justin Thomas, we're on Justin Thomas's side. That guy, whoever was talking, needs to get slapped in the mouth. You need to stop being so disrespectful.
Could have just had a bad day. Could have just been having a bad day.
I think it's just, I thought yesterday the match 2 was a home run. Smashing success by Bleacher Report, Turner of the PGA Tour in those 4. I can't believe they were able to. There was a couple glitches. Obviously, Tom said at one point, he was like, all I hear is static. Is that what we're supposed to hear?
Yeah.
Like he even gave like that's. Which, by the way, if that was a Zito production, that thing gets handled very early. There would be static in everybody's ear. But at some point, Zito would have figured it out. Yeah. I think they did holes 4 or 5. Maybe they really got. But there's rain. And then people don't know, too, those things that were on their back, those things aren't the most powerful things. That's why you see those big-ass satellites and trucks, because those things, and now you're out on a golf course. I can't believe they held up. I'm amazed by the entire thing. I think it was incredibly well done.
I love seeing how pissed they were getting too, because it is for charity, and obviously these guys are uber competitive, but I think part of me thought that it wouldn't get to that, but they had to manually mute some of their mics when Brady or Peyton were dropping F-bombs.
I wish they would have just let those go.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Just let them go. Now, granted, ESPN, which we'll talk about here in a second, Lance Armstrong said the F word, I think 7 times in the first 10 seconds of his 30 for 30 little series there, which I think will be worth a watch. I watched last night. There's an insufferable guy.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, Lance Armstrong, I think even he would say, yeah, I'm pretty insufferable to be around. I think this is just something that happens. Live Strong was obviously an amazing thing, raised a lot of money, probably found a lot of cures for different stuff and everything like that. But Lance himself, Michael Jordan said, people are going to think I'm a hole of the ass after they watch the Last Dance thing. I'm not sure if Lance Armstrong came out and said, people are going to hate me after this. But I'm pretty sure everybody on earth is going to hate Lance Armstrong for this. But it's been a great story. I did not know that Lance, whenever he was 15, he was a dominant. I did not know whenever he first showed up at the Team USA thing or whatever, he had already had a legend of Lance around him. They're like, the legend of Lance had been here. I'd never been around him. And then this one guy who was a veteran on the cycling team didn't know him basically until in the middle of the race they were together. And Lance was setting the tone, and it was 2 times the speed they normally would be or 3 times the speed. And the guy's in the back there is who's this? That's the Lance guy. It's all kind of interesting to watch that whole thing, but I don't think Lance gives a single damn if anybody likes him. And at this point, he probably has to be that way because the world turned on him rather quickly. But I think the world has been against him since he was a kid because of the way he is, which is just a stubborn, this is how things go, I'm better than you, and I know it type mindset. But aside from that, I don't think anybody in that golf thing yesterday would have thought everybody's going to like us all a lot more after this whole thing. And that, to me, is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was weird to see Jordan miss shots in The Last Dance, but seeing Tom Brady and Peyton Manning actually be human in a sport was the most relatable thing of all time.
They kept saying, the amateurs are nervous here or whatever. It's Tom Brady might not be playing good. Peyton Manning is pin seeking.
Yeah. Firing darts.
They kept saying, the pros are doing this, but the amateurs are blah, blah, blah. It's maybe Peyton has hit a couple bad shots, but he was balling. I've seen Peyton golf in person. Very good golfer. I did not see him golf the way he was golfing yesterday in person, though. I saw him look like an amateur. Peyton was unbelievable. He was hitting the Bubba Watson draw out of the pine. Every single shot. It was. I really, really enjoyed yesterday. I can't thank him enough.
Peyton, big draw guy. You can tell the big difference though is on the greens and around the greens where because that's they were trying very hard to have the pro be the person on the green taking the shot. My question for you was, how many groups do you think you could do where the match would work? Could they go to like 4 groups?
I feel like the winner should hold court. So I feel like Peyton and Tiger should take on another batch. Nice. And then you kind of just like winner stays, if that makes sense. Yeah. So like the next one should be Peyton and Tiger versus like me and John Daly. Okay. And then when we win, they're out, we take on the next person. Like that is what I think they should do, because you have to keep, it should almost be like they should have a belt. It should be like a championship belt, sweet. Which they gave out. I guess they gave Phil Mickelson a belt whenever he won the first match. I think it was because he said in his promo that he cut before. It's C squared. Okay. It's coffee and cabs equal big hellacious seeds plus IV, which I don't know, whatever it was. And then they asked him to say it again. They asked him to say it again on the practice round. He was like, well, obviously it's because as he was cutting that promo into his phone on Instagram, talking about the whole thing, I was so amazed that he was keeping it all in track. Because whenever you give an equation, and it's a long one, okay, now people are going to check that. People are going to be like, okay, what you do? It was C squared equals B plus HBHCIV or something like that nature. And it's just, oh yeah, there's the belt right there they gave him. It's like a belt buckle or whatever. I think that's what it should be. I think the match 3 should be the champions, Tiger and Peyton, taking on somebody else. Maybe it's us. At Nick Moraldo's here. At Tone Diggs is here. At Ty Schmidt is here. Jason McAfee's here. Viva Lazito's here. Evan Foxy's here. And our golfer, Boston Connor's back here.
Got the itch. I know you guys do too.
I thought about going out and golfing yesterday while watching it, and then by the time it was over, it was like midnight, so it was like, can't do it. But at the beginning there, first couple holes, I was like, man, there's no way I last through this thing. I even had a tweet on deck that was like, just like we thought, another dud. Yeah. Like, let's go, because microphones weren't working, commentators weren't speaking, but then they got into a groove, kind of all of them. And I don't want to say just the golfers, but the commentators as well. They got into a groove and kept it going, and it was electric. I want to get on the course, though. Bad. Are you a good golfer, Connor?
Oh, unbelievable. They call me Liger, the lefty tiger. But for Brady and Manning, like, wouldn't they be too just like a little nervous on that first tee? Like, no matter how good they are before that moment, he's only getting judged.
Peyton has told me before, and I don't know if it was, he said this publicly as well. He said that out of everything he's ever done, college big games, NFL big games, everything like that, the most nervous he's ever been is teeing off at one of those pro-ams at hole number 1 where there's just potential victims of a driver to the face there, and you got a camera. He said it's the most nervous he's ever been. And I would assume Tom was feeling that as well. He's the only one who thanked Samuel for his intro, by the way. Samuel L. Jackson gave that entire intro, and then Tom over at ball goes, thank you, Samuel. He was the only one that acknowledged it or whatever. But yeah, breakfast ball too. Everybody knows a good breakfast ball. I think the match 3 should have a breakfast ball for the amateurs, because that's just much more relatable to the amateurs that are watching. Now, everybody will say, well, there's money on the line and things of that nature. Well, if we know going in that there's a breakfast ball, that should be good. At Intern Emmett is here as well. Intern Emmett came in with a bongo drum, started throwing balls off of our backboard, trying to take down our wall while we're doing the show meetings. Had a hell of a weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend to you, Emmett.
Happy Memorial Day weekend to you too, Pat.
That boy.
Oh, he's slowing his words.
He's hammered.
He had a good one. Emmett had a good one. You can't blame him. He's 21 years old. What do you want from the guy? He's 21 years old, Memorial Day weekend. I'm surprised he's even here.
Maybe jeans. Jeans would be nice. I don't know.
I'm proud of you.
Hey, I'm wearing my golf pants.
See that? See that? What's up, Dave?
Also, to kick it off, shout out Ernie.
Ernie Johnson.
Start with.
Hey, the risk. The balance of risk, or what is it? The
risk reward.
I did not know his son was 39 years old.
No, I didn't.
And 9 years been on a ventilator system, basically. That Ernie Johnson, great speaker, incredible human, good guy, legendary performance yesterday. Kicked the whole thing. I had chills in I was like sitting in my house. I had a whole entire chills thing. It was magical. I honestly think they hit it out of the park with that thing. Couple holes early kind of stunk because they didn't have the tech set up. But once the tech got good, I thought it was good. What up, Foxy?
Whoever decided to use carts is an absolute genius, because not only did it keep it moving, but you had the solo cam every single time they got in there.
And by the way, I would like to add, it almost brought value to the game, because there was cameras in there and getting a chance to watch them kind of react to their shot or whatever. Maybe the PGA should think about it.
I loved it.
Hey, maybe the PGA should.
And they're
think
getting
about
mad at John Daly for asking for a cart. He's got a bad knee.
He had
Come
a
on,
bum knee. The
guys.
guy needed like 3 surgeries on his knee. What do you want from him? Then he pulled up with his Diet Coke and a McDonald's cup.
Caddy's worried about their job.
Phil and Tiger acting as caddies for Tom and Peyton, by the way, was awesome. Like that last conversation where you referenced that Phil was just asking them from the landed on grass, basically, and then the biggest area is down here. Just put it on there, and then we'll be able to do work or whatever. Then Tom going, what do you want? He goes, I think a 7. I think you give it your all, too. Like that type of stuff was really cool. Because when was the last time Phil Mickelson and Tiger had to do that? When was the last time Tiger Woods had to pull a flag out of the thing? Yeah. You know, it was, by the way, maybe he does that in his practice rounds every single day. I'm not 100% sure, but that was just really cool. And I think with the rain, the elements, bravo to all of them.
It really showed how good Tiger and Phil were, too. Like, Tom missed a putt long, and then right away, Phil knew the read, and he just nailed it first try.
Yeah, well, Tiger also, a couple different times, because it's his home course or whatever, he just sat behind the ball, and he was like, yeah, here's the spot you want to answer. Listening to Phil talk about how the wind, though, in the rain on the putts, I never accounted for wind on the putts because I always assumed it was too high. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take that into account then. Not that I have any idea where the putt's going anyways, but if I do get to a point where I think I know where it's going, I have to account for the wind and the rain and the grass potentially laying this way as opposed to this way. I mean, I think that was a golf lesson for 5 hours yesterday.
Yeah, the dark versus light grass, knowing that the dark is the grain into you and the light is going the other way, so it'll roll. And
it was awesome.
Do you think it's better served to do alternate shot for all 18 holes as opposed to just doing it on the back 9?
I feel like the front 9 play your own ball was a chance for the like people to warm up. You know, I feel like it was strictly made for Tom and Peyton to warm up, and I think that is now not that Phil and Tiger had their best shots early. I mean, Tiger did, Phil did not, but I think that was to warm up without completely ruining the match. Because let's say they're both ice cold and they hit those shots. Now, they're both getting the tee and then picking which ball is a good move too, by the way. But what if you get Phil and Tiger stuck in the woods because Peyton and Tom are still hitting terrible shots? I think it was properly set up. Yeah. I honestly do think it was properly set up. And Peyton, he putted a birdie. He actually won them a couple of points there early with Peyton had I think a solo birdie in the first 9 that got him 2 or 1 or something like that. So I think that was something that it was strictly put in for the amateurs, but I like the back 9 being alternate in the front 9. I just like the way they did it. I enjoyed the entire thing.
Do you think
it should be alternate, huh?
I mean, I enjoyed the back 9 a lot more than I did the front 9. But, I mean, that makes sense because then if you have them, you don't want Peyton and Tom having to hit out of the pine straw. Like, if there's a bad shot, it could serve for like a lot worse golf.
Tom was sitting over a ball. And in the front 9, he hit a lot of duffs. But he was sitting over a ball, I think it was 17 or 18. I forget which one. It was 17 or 18. And it was the one that Phil was talking to him. And in my head, I was like, if this was me right now, this ball could go right where it needs to go, or I could hit this thing maybe 1.5 yards too. like you know what I mean? And for Tom, after watching his game, he very much could have done that as well. And I started thinking in my head, like, what are the chances Tom just hits this completely duff, maybe sideways at that moment? And then you remind yourself, oh, it's Tom Brady. There's a good chance it's probably going to be a good shot. And then it turns out to be so. But I think that type of chance of it going horribly wrong for me was what was awesome. 23 minutes after the hour, we have to get to a break for radio. We'll take some phone calls during said break, and then we have Charles Robinson, senior NFL writer for Yahoo Sports. Yes, Yahoo still exists. What? Yep. He has a lot of inside information on Jamal Adams, safety for the New York Jets, potentially being traded to the Dallas Cowboys last season and currently happening this offseason. What more does he know? Does he know about Dak Prescott and that deal that Chris Sims said? Ooh. Is Chris Sims being wrongfully accused of being wrong here? Questions need to be asked. Answers need to be given. Most importantly, praise needs to be given to those who have fallen on this Memorial Day weekend. We're back on the other side with more stupid conversation. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
No.
For like 24 hours. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Monday, May 5th. That's 2 times now. Happy Memorial Day. Joining us now, NFL senior writer at Yahoo Sports. Yes, Yahoo Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, friend of the show, Charles Robbins. Charles! Charles, thank you so much for coming and joining us. Happy Memorial Day to you, sir.
And you as well. Happy Memorial Day, all the veterans out there. We appreciate your service.
Amen. Bingo. USA.
USA! USA! USA!
Anyways, big shout out to USA. Let's get to America's team. You were the man behind all the information for a potential Jamal Adams to Dallas Cowboys trade, and this allegedly almost took place last season at the trade deadline. Now it's popping back up this offseason. Is there anything to this? Will this ever happen? And why is Jamal Adams so mad about this whole thing?
I mean, there's something to it because Jamal Adams wants to get paid. He wants his extension after year 3 of his rookie deal, and the Jets are sitting there and going, look, go look at some of the best defensive players from recent classes. You had Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald. These are guys who actually played through year 4. Christian McCaffrey is the only guy from that 2017 class to get extended. So the Jets are just sitting there saying, look, if you want that extension, that's fine, but that's a 2020 issue. That's not a 2021 issue. That's not a 2020 issue. We're not going to get to it now. And, you know, look, I think George Adams, his dad was a first-round pick, you know, in the NFL, played for the Giants. I mean, there's some family stuff going on here in terms of the advisement. And, you know, look, Jamal's had a burn in his saddle since the trade deadline last year. I don't think he liked the fact that the Jets picked up the phone when the Cowboys called. And conversely, I think what's interesting in this, and I think this is a little bit of a wrench in this process, you know, Michael Irvin comes out and he says, oh, it's a first and a third. I don't know, man. For the Cowboys, it might be a little more expensive because I can tell you right now, the way that whole trade deadline stuff went down last year, how much information got out there, and the feeling that it was the Cowboys leaking a lot of the information about the talks with the Jets. I don't think Jets ownership was very happy about how that whole process went down, feeling like they got burned a little bit by the Cowboys in a process that should have been a little more locked down. It might not be a first and a third from the Cowboys. It might be a little more expensive than that. And I think how many strong safeties, honestly, even a great strong safety, how many strong safeties nowadays in the NFL are teams going to go, hey, we'll give you a first, a third, and then on top of that, we're going to pay you at least $15 million to make you the highest paid safety in the game.
Well, the game is becoming, on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of safeties because how everything's opening up. So, I mean, potentially a much more important position going forward as it was in the past. But what was the things that came out during the trade deadline last year that made people a burn in the saddle? By the way, that is an incredible, what does burn in the saddle mean, first of all?
Burr, but like a burr in the saddle, you know, like you're see, I live in Houston, so whenever somebody's pissed off,
it's like a snake in the boot. It's like a snake. It's a snake in the boot. Got it. Burr in the
yeah, it's exactly a snake in my boot. Right.
Okay, a burr in the saddle. Okay, so the Jets feel as if the information that the Cowboys leaked last trade deadline was offensive and negative. What was the information that was being leaked on what they were willing to give the Jets for the trade, or what was the information that kind of pissed off the Jets people?
Well, I think it was one of those things where it got out, and there were reporters around the Cowboys where it was sort of like a daily sort of update. Here's where we're at. Here's where we're at, and there wasn't really much coming from the Jets end of it in terms of, you know, the people around that team. And look, a lot of NFL teams, I mean, you know this, their names get brought up quite a bit at the trade deadline. You know, teams call on guys, and I think sometimes a team can feel like they get burned just for picking up the phone because the Cowboys call and say, hey, you know, we hear everybody on your roster is available. Is Jamal Adams available? He's a guy we're looking to upgrade his safety. He's a Texas guy. We think he wants to come home. Will McClay, who's high up in our personnel, is close to Jamal Adams' father. George Adams, maybe we know something about where Jamal Adams would like to continue to play his career. You can have those conversations, but then when all of a sudden it all comes out and it seems to be, you know, one team's media that really ends up being, you know, the people who advance the story, it put the Jets in a situation where all of a sudden Jamal Adams is saying, why would you even pick up the phone? Like, what's going on? Why am I even involved in this? And it created
I thought about this because we had learned that Jamal was upset about the potential being traded. I have no idea what you're supposed to do if you're in that general manager position there. If some team calls you and offers you, I have no idea, because it was alleged that Jets ownership and front office had a conversation with Jamal Adams and told him that he's not on the trading block, right? Because everybody, they were trying to unload all the contracts that the previous GM put together. So Joe was trying to do his own thing. He and Jamal Adams have a conversation and tells Jamal, you are not on the trading block. Don't worry about it. Then it starts coming out that the Cowboys are trying to trade for him. So then Jamal loses trust in the general manager. But if you're that general manager, just like when Jerry Krause had to take calls for Scottie Pippen, it's like, I don't fully know what you're supposed to do there. And I'm normally a person that hates the general manager and loves the player. I don't know what the GM's supposed to do there. If the Cowboys are calling, it's like, is Jamal Adams on trading block? No. It's like, okay, well, then there was potential. You could phrase that as trade talks about Jamal Adams if you really wanted to, even though it was trade talk and not an answer to it. I don't know what you're supposed to do there, but I like that Jamal Adams all pissed off at people. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think this is necessarily a negative for the Jets. I mean, I know people are sitting there going, well, this is one of their best players, and this is look, the Jets are becoming relevant because of some of the things, as you said, Joe Douglas is willing to do. If you're 14-2, 13-3. You don't pick up the phone on guys, but it's not a good team. And you're talking about rehashing the entire roster there. There's not many guys you don't pick up the phone on. Maybe Sam Darnold. That's it.
Oh, they just brought in Joe Flacco, so Sam Darnold needs to have his head on a swivel. Do you think they brought in Joe Flacco? Not only because Joe was with the Ravens in 2014 whenever the elite Joe Flacco was at his highest, and they have a little history with him. The GM has history with Joe Flacco. Or do you think they signed Joe over Cam Newton because they know Joe Flacco, definite backup for Sam Darnold. Cam Newton comes in, potential controversy as soon as if Sam gets mono again or if Sam starts incompleting passes, everybody in New York is going to be calling for Cam Newton. Do you think that is the reason why that move was made?
I think they brought in Joe Flacco because he's tall.
Mike Lennon's getting gigs. Hey, if you're a tall quarterback, you look like a sky cam. You're getting signed in the last week or two. That is 100% the case.
You're 100% right. I mean, that's exactly why they brought in Joe Flacco, because they want functionality in the quarterback room. They want functionality in the media. I think there's a part of that support role where they feel like Joe Flacco, having that history with Joe Douglas, going back to the Ravens, feels like he knows his character, can be that guy that can hold the clipboard, support the rookie, knows enough, has started a long time, won a Super Bowl, all these different things. And oh, by the way, if Sam Darnold, God forbid, gets mono or some other transmitted disease in this time of transmitted diseases, you've got a quarterback who can step in and actually win some football games. At least they feel like he's experienced enough to hold the fort for a few games.
You know a lot about, free agents and things of that nature. The last time you were on this show, you said look for Jadeveon Clowney to go to the Jets, potentially the Titans, but his price has to get down a bit. Now, we don't know if we're at that price being down yet. Maybe you do. Is Jadeveon Clowney, who's still on the market right now, at the point where he's willing to accept a lot less than what he was expecting? And is there a team out there that you think is going to pull the trigger on him? Because, boy, that's a guy that you would like to not only have come off your bus first, not only be in the warm-up, but he can disrupt games anytime he wants to and chooses to do so.
I still think it's the Browns. I really do. I've been on this for a while. I still think the Cleveland Browns are a team that have a ton of cap space. They have Olivier Vernon, who if they cut Olivier Vernon tomorrow, it's a $15 million cap hole.
They're going to win a Super Bowl. Browns are going to win a Super Bowl, Dix.
I mean, and remember, there's another thing about Jadeveon Clowney, too, and I think the teams that look at him feel this way about him. You want to put him with a set of guys who can be sort of force multipliers. So you're sitting there at defensive end, you're saying, hey, Myles Garrett on one end, you put Jadeveon Clowney on the other. Something's going to happen here. Like, one of these guys is going to have to get doubled. It's going to change sort of the matrix up front for offensive teams. I still think the Browns are a team that are very interested in Jadeveon Clowney, but are slow playing this process. Because, look, the bottom line is, from what I've been told, Clowney's just not in a hurry. There's nothing going on right now. And I think once facilities start to open again, and you talk about players starting to come back into the fold, he's not worried about this virtual offseason stuff. I live in Houston. Jadeveon Clowney's here training like every day. He looks like Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, he's going to be fine. He's going to step in and be ready to play right away. I think he's waiting until he knows there are no other options out there. This is what's sitting in front of him, a huge pay cut with a team like, say, the Titans. And I honestly feel like it's kind of whittled down to a huge pay cut with the Titans or something with the Browns that is less than the $20 million he wants, but at least closer.
Isn't it interesting though? You're talking about Jadeveon Clowney's patience. Don't some of these teams though? They're showing a lot of patience. It's like, hey, if you think Clowney can take you over the hump, go and get him. Like, I don't understand what the entire we'll just wait it out. Is Clowney telling him, like, so you're saying, like, the Browns have made an offer to him, and Clowney's like, not yet, and the Titans have made an offer to him, he's like, not yet? Or is it that they're all just kind of waiting around? Because I've always, I don't know, and I don't do the fantasy football because I think it takes a lot of time, and there's not enough upside for me, and honestly, I just hate it. But, I'll get into it next year. I've decided next year I'm getting into fantasy football. But I'm not a general manager of an NFL team. But if I got a guy sitting there that I'm like, hey, this guy, if he's alongside Myles Garrett and we have a good defense, and who knows if Myles Garrett's going to make it through an entire year without taking somebody's helmet off and killing him. But if you have a guy, let's go and get him. Is there any conversation about that happening, you think, behind closed doors?
I will say about the Browns. The Browns have expressed interest. It's not like all of a sudden they've closed the door and said, hey, we're no longer interested. Okay. There's been Clowney's camp's known for a while that the Browns have been interested. I don't want to get into the details of what's been talked about.
Charles! Tell us, Charles.
Listen. In what situation have you expressed interest and not talked in some element of detail? Okay, let's be real here.
Yeah, you're 100%.
So,
I would have got these nunchucks though.
Listen, I'm telling you, in terms of their patience, the patience of teams, and look, you're on Clowney's schedule because Clowney's sitting here. I'll tell you what his thought process is right now.
Here we go.
Do I do a 1-year deal? Okay, because I feel like I just did a 1-year deal last year, essentially finishing out, the move to Seattle last year. I did a 1-year deal, the prove it deal. It didn't work out. Okay, my sack numbers weren't great, the pressures weren't great. I wasn't always 100% healthy, and teams are all sitting there staring at me, going, "Hey man, when are you going to have the pop season? When are you going to have the 12, the 14, the 15 sack season? You haven't done that. We're not going to pay you like you're a 15 sack guy. You want $20 million. That's a 12 to 15 sack guy every single year. So he has that problem. He's still in a situation where he may have to sign a 1-year prove it deal. But I think the Browns are interested in him longer term than that. And if he's going to sign a reduced deal, I'm telling you right now, that's a 1-year deal. He's not going to take some contract where someone's going to pay him, hey, $14 million a year. There's not going to be a 5-year $14 million APY deal that he's going to sign. That's going to be a 1-year deal. He's going to go try to prove it again. But I don't think he wants to go through that process again. If he wants to sign the bigger deal, getting into the upper teens, that's going to be a team like Cleveland, which has the money and has the interest still.
BT Dub, LOL, APY. Okay, let's pivot. Let's move to another team in the Lone Star State in which you habit. Habit. You inhabit.
Yeah.
Inhabit?
Inhabit.
Inhabit. I-N-habit. Right there at the end. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Last week it came out via Chris Sims that there was an offer on the table for 5 years, averaging $35 million per year. Dak wants $45 million for that 5th year. It came out from Rappaport that both sides said that is a complete lie. Do we have any legit update on what's going on between Dak and the Dallas Cowboys? And is that deal ever going to get finished, or is this going to be an ugly till the end?
There's nothing going on. Like, this has been the most ridiculous negotiation ever, because I remember when the two sides broke it off last September, once the 2019 season started. And there was like these monthly updates, like every month. It was, Dak, and here's where the extension is. And I remember I talked to a guy it was like in January, and he literally said to me, "Listen, man, we have not spoken to Dak's camp since September. The hell are you guys talking about?" He's like, "You keep updating things. We're not even speaking to each other." And what had happened was the Cowboys had a set number on the table. Dak's side had a set number on the table. Dak went out and played 3 pretty good games. And then guess what? Dak's camp looked at the Cowboys and they said, "His number just went up. So that number we gave you before, that's not legit anymore." And the Cowboys took
we
the
are
phone.
in a different time now. That's Pawn
exactly.
Stars. That's Pawn Stars.
Yeah. Well, Stephen Jones did the Ari Gold, took the phone, smashed it on the wall, and that was going to be the last time they were going to talk to Dak's people. It was like, all right, I guess we're just going to have to look at franchising you. That's just what's going to happen. Things at the Combine changed a little bit. I think the Cowboys, the entire fight, I've summed this up a million times. It's about 4 years versus 5 years. The Cowboys are sitting there and they're saying, we have to get at least 5 years on this deal. We want 5 years of control. Dak's side saying, hey, go look at the Wentz deal. Go look at the Goff deal. All these quarterbacks are signing 4-year deals. And the Cowboys are saying, those are tack-ons. That's not 4 years of control. Those are tack-ons to deals that are already in place. That's 5 years of control for those teams. That's what we want. That's what they're arguing about. The numbers, I'm telling you, are going to come in the mid-30s. If he signs a 5-year deal, it's going to end up landing between $35 and $40 million. If he signs a 4-year deal, it's going to end up being around $35 million per season. That's where they're at. And if they cannot just squash it, and I think July 15th, we can keep talking about this, but nothing's going to get done until, start at July 8th and run it through July 15th. That's when the rubber's going to hit the road on this thing. And if it doesn't get done then, I'm telling you right now, Dak's going to play out his franchise tags, and he's going to do the Kirk Cousins and really put him up against the wall.
All right. Well, there's some inside information from senior NFL reporter at Yahoo Sports, Charles Robinson. We appreciate you, buddy. Do you have that backdrop of the city just at your house?
Yeah, it's one of our bedrooms, and I get hell all the time about how I've turned an entire bedroom into a little city for a cheesy Houston, the iconic Houston background.
We like Houston a lot. We've been to Houston a couple times. I'm a big fan of the city of Houston.
All right, well, come on down, man. We'll go shoot guns. That's what we do in Texas.
Hey, shoot some guns. Cheer on J.J. Watt. That's what we got going on. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Charles Robinson. Thank you, buddy.
Take care, guys.
Some good information in there. We'll digest it all on the other side. 44 minutes after the hour on this Memorial Day weekend, May 25th.
There it is. There it is.
A lot of vitamins during the weekend. Sometimes it takes a little bit to wake that up. He knows Jadeveon Clowney's people very tight. Yeah, that seems like a guy who knows Jadeveon Clowney's people very, very tight.
They're in Houston, too. He's been to where he's
trained. He's been working out every day. He looks very good, by the way. For those that are asking, he looks incredible.
Yeah.
He's working out right here. Browns or Titans. Ooh. AFC North, if you hear Jadeveon Clowney's coming to the Browns, how do you feel?
Oh, does he play quarterback?
All right. We got to get to a break. Just stop clapping. You're listening to the Pat Magazine Show. Jeez. Naughty Nate 719. Fan of the show. I don't know who he is, but he looks intriguing. He's Colorado Springs. He's a vlogger. He's on the YouTube. Just followed him back. I have no idea what I'm getting into. If this guy ends up hating all races, I'm saying this publicly. I know nothing about the guy. Seems to be a big fan. Just followed him back. Maybe he'll be on the show. Somebody, oh, way to go. Way to go. Following somebody that is like Doja Cat. She had a bad weekend.
Yeah.
Turns out bad person from what it sounds like. The internet will get you. And speaking of the internet, let's dive deep into the most beautiful part of the internet, the YouTube comment section, for some YouTube questions.
Oh, jeez. YouTube question.
What is that?
Somebody sent it in over the weekend. I believe he lives in London. It's just us on shrooms, I believe, if you want to look at it.
Can you put that back up there, Foxy? Or
sorry. There we
pause
go.
It?
There we go.
Okay.
I look Asian.
Zito, you look amazing. Zito looks absolutely amazing. I'd assume that's you in the middle there. Ty, that's a tough look. I think you're with the green behind you there, right?
I think so, yeah.
Diggs, geez. Is that you to Zito's left on the right side there?
Yellow?
Yeah. Yellow. Mm-hmm.
Then who's the red there?
It's
Chops
gotta be
McGee.
Chops. Yeah, Chops and Stash.
Oh,
that's Connor?
Oh, yeah.
Ron Bergen.
And who's in the purple there?
That's Nick.
In the lower left there.
That's Fox.
Oh my God!
They gave your beard no love.
So then that's me right there above you. Yeah. I look like I'm a methed out Eminem.
It's like Justin Timberlake missing a chromosome. It's kind of what it looks like.
We appreciate obviously the hard work that this took, but I mean, this can never be seen again. I mean, this is just, Zito, you look amazing. I mean, obviously, Zito, you look you look exactly how you normally look.
You know what it is?
Handsome, stout, smart, all that stuff.
It's because they put sunglasses on me.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah,
I can only imagine what those eyes look like.
It looks like we are being hypnotized by something in the middle there.
Why'd they give Diggs a pig nose?
Diggs does not
he does
deserve
not
the way
have that.
Diggs
No.
look.
I might. I don't know.
Yeah, but Diggs, you don't look anything like that. Don't even think about it. But why do I look like a methed out Slim Shady down there?
I feel like spiral. I feel like there should be spirals in the eyes, like you.
Yeah. Well,
Or colored in. I think that's the.
I
the
appreciate
thing
the
that's
effort from our friend in London.
Yeah, great effort.
But that's not us. Ty kinda though. Ty kinda.
Yeah.
Nick is the worst, I think, if we're going to resemblance.
I don't
right there.
know. It looks weird just because he's, looking down. If you tilt your head right, that kind of does look like Nick.
But him looking down is accurate, though. You know what I mean? Like, that is kind of what he does. True. All right, let's do the YouTube questions, please. Zito, what do we got?
You got it. Luke Romanoff
Okay.
says, what's your thoughts on Eli Manning's Twitter game?
Okay, yeah, I saw that over the weekend. Eli Manning obviously got a Twitter account so he can get paid by Franks to tweet alongside Peyton, his brother, golfing. I enjoyed the move strictly for cash, obviously. Created it strictly so he could do the Franks Red Hot deal, which tweet some heat. I can respect it. Great hello to Twitter with his first tweet. Is Eli running all the Twitter account, or does he have somebody doing it? Not 100% sure either way, but I do like whenever goats start to embrace the social medias. Tom Brady, savage on the internet. Is it Tom tweeting or is it somebody else? We don't know, but Tom's a savage on the internet. Think about Aaron Rodgers, great on the internet. Eli Manning getting on board, which means hopefully we are one step away from Peyton fucking Manning getting on Twitter, and that'll be a show. I thought Peyton had a great performance yesterday, told some stories, had some punchlines, golfed well. Hopefully he'll feel the love through his brother's Twitter account where he'll go, hey, fuck it, I'll get on Twitter. And he does that.
You made how much for how many tweets?
Frank's Red Hot paid you what? And you didn't even have a Twitter, on Friday? Fuck it, I'll get That'd be awesome. So I enjoyed it. I like the move. Just because I feel like that means Peyton is right behind there. And I like everybody getting involved in the Twitter social media world. It's where we all need to be. You know what I mean? It's where we all need to be.
Come on.
The internet makes the world 10 times smaller, which could be bad for some people. But I hope they all get in there. Great question. Terrible graphic.
I'm trying to party like I'm packed. Mile High Club, I got the gummies in the back. You ain't never seen a bro kick it like that. Pat McAfee show, and we do it for the fans. Don't be a stooge. I'm breaking
all the rules.
When I do it, yeah, I do it for the brand. Come and take a punt if entertainment's what you want, because you know that we do it for the brand.
Yeah,
Come and do it with pop.
Super Humming is back with another video, just keeping the world updated. Happy Memorial Day. Super Humming is back. His Twitter, he said he's got a new video on his YouTube. That's going to be must watch for us, I assume, as soon as this next commercial break hits. During the commercial break, we talked about Eli Manning getting on Twitter. Big fan of it because we think we're about one step away from Peyton getting on Twitter, which will be absolutely beautiful. We enjoyed the show yesterday on the golf course. Let's wrap up hour one here with our friend Warwick, down under in Australia. Warwick, what's going on?
Not a lot at the moment, Pat, because it's after midnight here. It's actually Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday over there, Warwick. We appreciate you calling in, bud.
I'm keen to talk about the AFL schedule. Just dropped the other day. Massive games coming up in the first few weeks, particularly Collingwood, your mate Coxilla, up in the first game against Richmond, the reigning premiers, with Dusty Martin all playing in the same game. That's going to be at about 5:30 a.m. your time.
Hold on. So Dusty Johnson, the guy that flipped off the camera like AJ Hawk and Coxzilla square off in the first match of the AFL coming back?
Yeah, it'll be Thursday morning your time, Thursday morning, 11th July, about 5:30 in the morning. So you don't want to wake up too early. You'll at least be able to catch the second half.
Yeah. You can watch it while you're working out
No,
at
yeah,
5:30.
that's what I work out start around 4, but 5:30 is my Bible time. You know what I mean?
True.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll get rid of my Bible time for the day to watch the boys down under. 5:30 a.m. Thursday, June 10th? 11th. June 11th. Okay. All right. Thank you for that update. Have a great. How's Tuesday, by the way? How's the weather? We pretty good Tuesday?
It seems pretty good. I don't think it's raining at the moment, but
Great news.
No rain
Got a
tomorrow.
call from the future.
Yep.
Tomorrow we're in a good spot.
Warwick.
Thank you,
Let's go.
Warwick. Shout out to Australia. We only got like 30 seconds left of the hour, so I had to kind of cut him off. But Magpies taking on Dusty Johnson of the Richmond Tigers.
matchup.
June 11th, 5:30 a.m. 5:40 a.m., I guess.
Oh, he lied.
Hey, you DVR that thing, by the way. Mm-hmm. You've heard me talk about this basically all quarantine. And at the beginning of quarantine, you saw me lose my absolute mind for the one-night stand I had with the AFL. This is going to be a sport you're going to enjoy. We're going to bet heavily on it. I can't wait to do that. And the Collingwood Magpies are our squad because they got an American named Cockzilla playing for them. And he's a stud. Although Dusty Johnson, the Australian stud who plays for the Richmond Tigers, is not going to be an easy fight.
Good player.
That should be a good game.
Stud.
Hey, these dudes kill each other out here. Something to watch. June
excited.
11th. Sports are back. NHLPA said, yeah, we'll talk more about talking about it. The NBA is going to go down to Orlando. The New York governor says, hey, pro sports can open up their training camps. Hey, look what we did. Yeah! What we did. Feels like we made it. It's been a long 2 months that we'll tell stories about later in this world. Speaking of, we're back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. All right. Just went to a break there on radio. I often wonder, I've heard Francesa talk before about how once they figured out the commercial break timing, their ratings started doing better. I wonder what our commercials are like on radio, because we go to commercial probably at the time where everybody's in their cars because we push back our commercial breaks so fucking much. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we do it accurately or right, but
I think we do.
as long as we get two in there, who cares?
I mean, I looked at the numbers. I studied the trends and stuff the other day, and it seems like we're in the right spot.
What are those trends and stuff?
Yeah, if you break around 15 and around somewhere between 30 and the end of the hour, you're good.
Oh, okay. So just any time in there, you're in a good spot. What's it say for Memorial Day weekend and during quarantine?
About radio breaks?
Yeah, about when people were in their cars listening to the radio and things like that.
Mostly in the afternoon as they're traveling to their picnics and parties and such.
What about during quarantine there?
Oh, during quarantine, commercials don't matter during
I would
quarantine.
like to echo the sentiments of us from a couple weeks ago. The state of Indiana has no idea that there was a quarantine going on for like the last 3-4 weeks. And I don't know if that's how every state is, and I don't know what our death numbers are, which I think are the most important numbers. But boy, Memorial Day weekend was lit out here in Indiana. Did a little drive across the lake. I don't think I've ever seen that many boats before.
Lakes.
I think people even were getting a little bit of stir crazy and buying boats during the quarantine so that they can pack the house on the lake during Memorial Day weekend. Shout out to them, by the way. And we don't know. It'll be another month or so before we know who made the right decision here. Those who thought that we should lock down the world still, and those who said, fuck it, this is America, I'm going out. We don't know which ones are right until we find out what's happening, with all the numbers. But boy, you can't tell any of these people nothing out here. They're living their best life.
Every bay at Top Golf, jam-packed, loaded. They had every bay open when I was driving by. I was like, all right, Top Golf.
Hey, we are back, aren't we?
Lakes, deserts, and golfing, they don't apply to.
I would like to get back on the golf course.
Yeah, big time.
Might try to golf this afternoon, actually, just
Really?
because I've been hitting some balls in the backyard. I feel like my swing this particular year is potentially the best I've ever had. And that says something, because at one point, I did get down to like a 4 or 5 handicap at one particular time. But then, I don't play for 2 years, and then I get back out there, and then somebody wants to gamble a bunch of money. I play average, I lose some money, I don't play for another couple of years, and now here we are at 33 wondering if I'll ever get a golf game. And after watching yesterday, it's like, I feel like I need to power through, because people say Tom's a good golfer, and Tom's first round of the year, second round of the year looks exactly like my first round of the year, second round of the year. And if he starts there, is that where I'm starting? Am I Tom Brady on the golf course?
Yeah.
Potentially. Do I become Tiger on the golf course? Time will tell. Probably not, though. I know my calves are bigger. Does that fucking help?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so, too. Let's go to Eric in Pennsylvania. What's going on over there, Eric?
Hey, Pat, what's up? How you guys doing?
Not too shabby. Happy Memorial Day. Thanks to everybody that served. We appreciate the hell out of you.
Yeah, happy Memorial Day to everybody. That's awesome. But I just had a quick question for you. From a TV personality as yourself and a social media personality as yourself, I don't know if you caught it, but when Justin Thomas, who was commentating on the side of the course, calling Sir Charles Barkley a fat ass on live television,
loved it.
I thought was legendary.
Yeah.
Also, not even that, also with the little Peyton jabs, Tom Brady saying, oh, Eli would have made that putt when there's those little 3-foot tap-ins. I thought it was priceless. So I was just curious, like, from that social media side, getting golf bigger, coming back from sports, I thought this was awesome. Just wanted to
shout out to Eric in Pennsylvania. A lot of people passed away.
Yeah.
A lot of people passed away. I liked Justin Thomas calling Charles Barkley a fat ass. Then I like Charles Barkley telling him, you can't say that, because that is my move, by the way. Anytime somebody says something, I'm like, hey, you're not allowed to say what you just said. And then I don't know who it was, because I don't know the other people. They doubled down on Charles Barkley being a fat ass. And I think that was just magical. I wish there was more of this. Zito got called a fat ass on national television by Adam Amin. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is something that happened. Zito did not deserve that. He didn't even have a chance to defend himself like Charles Barkley did. I think that type of stuff.
Tony, come on.
I just remembered it.
He did. He called him a fat ass.
He did.
Yeah, Adam Amin, one of the best play-by-play people existing right now. Mm-hmm. It could be like your accountability buddy, fat ass Zito.
I remember it.
National champion.
Word for word.
Word for word.
That's what makes him so good at play-by-play. You know, he doesn't miss the details.
Oh, come on, Nick.
Second and seven, just like your accountability buddy, use a fat ass. Let's get back to it. Travis Etienne here is back in the game. It was amazing.
I'm emotionally scarred by that.
I like the trash talk, though. I wish there was more of it. And I like Justin Thomas now because of it. Wait till you see this professionalism. Good morning, beautiful people. It is Monday, May 25th. Happy Memorial Day to you. Obviously, Memorial Day is a day where we get to recognize and appreciate those who gave their all for this country, and we can't thank them enough. In hour one, we talked to Charles Robinson, a senior NFL reporter from Yahoo Sports, who's basically Jadeveon Clowney's mouthpiece at this point. Feels like if you need to know anything about Jadeveon Clowney, you go through Charles Robinson. He said the Browns and the Titans look to be interested in Clowney. Look for that signing to happen. Also, have Dak and the Cowboys been negotiating? He says no. Literally nothing's been happening. Wait until July 8th to July 15th, which is the final day Dak Prescott can sign the franchise tag. That'll be when the rubber meets the road, were his exact thoughts. We broke down the match too, which we all loved, and we thought everybody in it won, even though Tiger and Peyton won, which we called months ago. Literally months ago now at this point. Mm-hmm. We think everybody's view in the world view of them went up. Tom Brady looked like a human. Tom Brady hit the biggest shot of the day. Tom Brady won a long drive. But ultimately, Tom Brady was relatable for the first time maybe in his entire life. We know he eats avocado ice cream. He sells weird chocolate. He has the TB12 treatment. He's from New England, which everybody has hated for all these times. Now he's at Tampa Bay. Gets kicked out of parks. He gets kicked out of neighbors' houses. Tom Brady's best PR has been the Howard Stern conversation where he sounded like a human. And yesterday, whenever he was mic'd up and everybody was like, you know what, Tom Brady, a guy I wouldn't mind golfing with. Tiger Woods is all the way back with his tiny little calves. He would have won the Masters if those things were wide open. And speaking of calves, big old calves, Phil Mickelson was electric yesterday, breaking down his shots and then executing them perfectly immediately after explaining every single thing he was going to do was beautiful. Peyton Manning, great golfer. They kept comparing the professionals versus the amateurs, and they kept lumping in Tom with Peyton. And Tom, I think, had only played maybe a round or two of golf while Peyton is retired and probably golfing a few times a week. They kept saying the amateurs are struggling out there. What are your words of advice for him? It's like, I don't think the amateurs were struggling. Peyton Manning was playing great golf. His opening tee shot, not great, went into a neighborhood. But aside from that, I think everybody out there won. $20 million was raised. I have no idea who's getting that or how they're going about doing that. Brooks Koepka put in some money. Russell Wilson put in some money. Heroic Yankee and Seattle Seahawk. Russell Wilson put up some money. I just thought it was fascinating. I thought it was awesome. I learned something. I laughed a bit. It was just, the match 2 went way beyond expectations. And now, what's going to happen for match 3? Will Tiger and Peyton, who currently have the championship belts, have to take on new contenders? Who will those new contenders be? Will it be me and John Daly, or will it be Tony Romo and another golfer? Let's assume the latter. Let's hope for the prior, and then let's move forward with the match being a brilliant concept to save golf and make it much more interesting than it normally is. At Nick Morato's here. At Ten Diggs is here. Ty Schmidt is here. Jason McAfee's here. Viva Lazito's here. Evan Foxy's here. And our resident Liger, Boston Connor.
Thank you, Pat, for acknowledging my golf skills.
Liger means?
Lefty Tiger.
And your golf game is?
Unbelievable.
Terrible.
Unbelievable.
Terrible. We've seen you golf.
Yeah, and me and Foxy crushed.
Nah, he's a bad golfer.
Bad golfer. We're all bad golfers.
He's getting better, though.
By the way, that's why I like Tom Brady, because he was such a bad golfer. Then he was a good golfer. And by the way, there's only a couple shots each round that make you go back to golf.
Yes.
Holing out from 150 or whatever, and then doing a victory lap up to the green. Well, saying like, well, since all the other guys have gotten a chance to talk here, I just like to say hello to my wife, my kids, thank everybody, and that whole thing. I mean, it was just... I thought it was beautiful. I honestly did. And Liger, if you're out there, obviously it would have been a bit more electric. But aside from the technological failures that happened in the first couple holes, I can't believe they figured it out. They did. I thought it was a slam.
Slam run.
It was a slam.
Big slam.
It was a big slam. It was a big old slam. I honestly do.
Do you think
grand is the word?
Do you think if a live crowd was there, it would have been better?
Well, then I saw a couple of people start chirping you because I retweeted your comment about how if there was a live crowd here, when Peyton was pin seeking and then Tiger was pin seeking, and whenever Tom chips in, the place would have went bananas.
Absolutely bonkers.
But if there was a live crowd available, this wouldn't be happening. So it's kind of like like you think Tom and Peyton would sign up for this if there was a live crowd? You think Tom would do this knowing the image of him not playing football and not practicing football in the offseason, getting ready for Tampa? No, they would never do it. So the fact that they did it to raise money for COVID-19 relief in this unprecedented time, I do believe if there was a crowd there, would have been magical moments because the golf was good.
Yeah, there was a lot of big plays.
In a couple of these matches, the original match, Tiger and Phil, duds. Not even that many good shots, by the way. There wasn't that much to celebrate. Dustin, Rory, Ricky, Matt, not a lot of incredible shots. This one, incredible shots all over the place. Absolutely. Peyton was hitting draws out of the woods like he was Bubba Watson trying to win the Masters. I mean, Tiger was pin seeking. He hitting the ball very well. Tiger's all the way back, by the way. Phil Mickelson was calling his shots and then doing them. And Tom had a couple magical. The place would have been bananas.
Yeah. Phil over the trees.
Oh, yeah, Phil hitting the drive on the green while saying, I think I might hit it over, actually. I might have to take a little bit off. Hey, Tommy, you just get one on play here because I'm going to bring out the big stick and we're going to hammer bombs right at the green or whatever. I mean, that was – but could you imagine being able to do that, by the way? That'd be so much fun. It'd be said that's why golf is probably so much fun for them. Yeah. Walking up on a tee box, blind green, don't know where it's at. You know it's over that tall tree, though. If you keep it on the inside of that tall tree, they said that. If you keep it on the inside of that tall tree, that is where the green is. And then you watch his drive, and that little tracker's just like, and it's buzzing the inside of that tall tree. It's like, damn. He went exactly where he had to go, and he landed 3 feet away from a hole-in-one. Imagine if he holds that out, hole-in-one on a par 4 there. And it was close. Yeah. And that was the type of things that were possible. Peyton almost hit a hole-in-one. Yep. I mean, it would never ended how many good things happened.
Also, Phil, when Tiger's ball was on the green, and Tiger's like, you hit my ball on the green, you win the hole. And Phil came very close there.
Yeah, it was like 6 inches or something like that. He hit a little puncher at that thing. I'm like, I just need to learn one of these shots. I just need to learn one of these shots that controls something. Intern Mitt is also here a long weekend and just boozing his face off.
Yep.
21-year-old Memorial Day weekend. You got to do what you got to do anyways.
Another day in Mitt's life.
Yeah, I mean.
No. You guys are painting him in the wrong image here. You guys are saying he's a booze hound.
We didn't see him stumbling in on Thursday,
I heard him stumble in this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Start just crow-hopping basketballs off the backboard while we're trying to piece together a little bit of a show here, Mitt. Sorry, we're trying to keep the lights on, pal. Jeez Louise, Mitt. Unbelievable. Yesterday was electric, though.
With how much people talk about how good Tony Romo is at golf, how close do you think Peyton is? That's what I mean. Like, if Peyton, because you mentioned it, you said you think that he played like a decent amount leading up to this to get ready. Do you think he will continue that pace after this? I mean, because he could make a legit run at this. I was so surprised at how good he was.
I liked when he started hitting good shots, by the way, because then he starts loosening up. Because I think Peyton was a little bit tight, obviously, as everybody was. Phil Mickelson even said he was a little bit tight, and he's, played in 4,000 golf tournaments. But then once Peyton started, because there's always that fear that what you do in the driving range or what you do won't carry over to the course. And it's like, man, all this practice and I get out here and it's duff and everything like that. But I feel like once Peyton started seeing the shots that he usually hits in his normal game and stuff like that, man, once he started telling stories, there was a time where they were stepping on him. He was in a golf cart and he was telling an entire story, I think, and they were trying to get it to a commercial. I would love to hear what that story was. I think Peyton should dial it in for golf. I mean, why not? They give Tony Romo, a U.S. exemption or whatever every single. If Peyton gets a little bit better, I mean, I feel like maybe he gets a chance to get out there. That's good for golf if Peyton Manning's involved because his interviews, if you have him mic'd up, I mean, the whole thing is just, I thought yesterday was a win-win-win for him.
Also, very underrated shot on 18 when he's hitting that iron into the green, water on the right, basically for the match. He could easily have shanked that thing, and he stuck it on there. It was an incredible shot.
And I know at one point Peyton will come out, and he'll tell a story about this. And he'll say, I was looking around and I'm golfing with Tiger and I'm golfing with Phil and Tom and we're got a course to ourselves and there's people watching. At one moment you're like, man, this is awesome. You know, because even Peyton, who's at the top of the world, is like, I assume there was a moment where he looked around and was like, this is outrageous that me and Tiger, who've been friends for a long time, are playing against Phil and Tom, national television. We have an entire course to ourselves right now. I assume he'll come out and say, like, yeah, it was really cool. But I'm sure he'll also come out and say, you know, over that one shot on 18, whenever we had to get in there, Peyton had those thoughts, I would assume, in his head's like, all right, got to hit this one. Because if he misses that, think about what we're talking about today. Think about what Colin Cowherd is talking about today. Think about all of the hot takers to what they're talking about today about Peyton instead of Tom. I mean, it's one of those things where I'll be excited to hear the thought process behind all the guys because Phil said he was even a little bit nervous there at the beginning. This was just a different animal knowing that the entire world was watching. I'm pumped to see what the ratings were for this too. NASCAR, Brad Keselowski won. NASCAR won the weekend that Dustin, Rory, Ricky, and Matt golfed. 6.3 million people watched whenever they were doing that. This weekend, Tiger, Peyton, Tom, Phil, Charles, you can even add Charles Barkley into that thing. I think they will win the weekend by far, and I do believe that's a big factor because of Peyton Manning. I would assume a lot of NASCAR fans are diehard Peyton Manning fans as well, and it's different down there in the SEC. He's still holding grudges. Wouldn't wear Tiger red because he didn't want Kirby Smart to get a photo of him in black and red to send out there to recruits. He had the Tennessee dog or whatever as a driver cover still holds a lot of truth down there, but I think Peyton is potentially the reason why the ratings on the NASCAR went down. If they did, we don't know. This is just a blind shot. But I would assume that the match 2 won the ratings of the weekend.
I did not fact check this, but we did get a tweet that was thanking the weather because I guess the weather delayed the NASCAR and they started directly, I guess, like right after the match ended.
No, I thought they started before and then they must have delayed.
I did not fact check it. Like, tell you what,
Tony.
But you might be right. We have no idea.
My favorite thing was when Tom was one of us yesterday.
You're just gonna.
Yeah. We're just. Let's forget that I said that. They're like, Tom, what?
Well, you didn't really say that. Some random person on Twitter said it.
Tom, what'd you get? And Tom was like, well, one was in the woods. Drop 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. I got a 6. Like we all do that. All of us. One was 6.
Well, then how about when Peyton? It was one of the early holes. Phil goes, "You can pick that up. That's for 5, right?" And Peyton goes, "Yep." 6, actually. That is a moment that happens in every single round. What's up, Z?
So obviously we all loved it, but would you want to change anything about it?
I think a little bit more. I think now Justin Thomas did great. I thought Justin Thomas did great. I thought Amanda was great with the interviews and stuff like that. The only thing I thought that you could potentially change was early whenever they were having tech issues and nobody could hear anybody and there was no talking and it was quiet. Aside from that, I'm not 100% sure there's much that you would change there. I really don't think there's much that I would change because I don't do this either. I normally hate everything I'm watching if it's long. If it's long, you're just not going to be able to keep me around. This thing was, 4 or 5 hours, and I thought it only got better as it went on. Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure I would change anything. The Charles Barkley bogey challenge at the end, not 100% sure the purpose of that, but I like watching Charles golf anytime, so that's good. But aside from that, I liked everything in there.
What about like the single club? Like there was one hole, they only used one club, like
Loved
that type of stuff.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
That's cool.
More of that than
Tiger almost got a birdie. Did he get a birdie or a par?
The putt rimmed out, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he almost got a birdie with a 4-iron or whatever it is. It's just, I enjoyed all that stuff. These are things, by the way, that the PGA would never let happen because of the sanctity of the game. But I watched Tin Cup, Guy says, I'll do a 7-iron, I'll beat you right now. Like, that's the stuff that I enjoy. Yeah. And I think that the one club, the long drives, the alternate shot and everything like that, I think that's adding a little bit more fun to the game as opposed to the original match and what they did last weekend. And I think that is what fans want to see, by the way, because that is what we do on a course. That I wish there was a little bit more money maybe for closest to the pin, live action closest to the pin. There was a couple times where the balls were near each other. It's like I wish one of them would have looked over and been like, $50,000 donation here, closest to the pin. Let's do it. That type of stuff. I think maybe we had a little bit more of. But aside from that, I thought they hit it out of the park.
That's why like Chuck saying, Tom, if you put this on the green, 50K, and Brooks tweeting like 100K if you make a par on the front 9, like that stuff was cool. If they did more of that on the course between them, it would be nice.
I think so too. And by the way, safest 50 grand Chuck ever seen at the time. At that time, Tom had no idea what a ball was.
It's the best bet Chuck's ever made in his entire life.
But then, Tom, I thought he was going to get going. Yeah. And he did. He started playing a lot better than he was. But I think Tom said, I'm trying to win a Super Bowl right now. You guys think I'm practicing for this for the last month and a half, which I guarantee Peyton had. Peyton was probably hitting 200 balls in the morning, eating some breakfast, playing 9 holes, probably go over the green, practice the putt a little bit, play another 9 holes. Probably for the last month and a half, I assume Peyton's been doing that. He's like the most over-prepared human in history. He doesn't have a season to prepare for. He doesn't have, a commentating role to prepare for. What does he have, a couple commercials maybe to prepare? All he had to do and prepare for was this match. I would assume he was dialed in for the last month and a half. Probably had his swing coach living in one of his wings.
Watching film on his swing.
He was probably watching film. I would assume Clyde Christensen, by the way, quarterback coach for Tampa. I'd assume he was potentially involved in conversations with both Peyton and Tom about this entire thing. Tom, the more and more I think about it, had no chance against Peyton in this thing. He had nothing else to do. Yeah. Peyton is, everybody knows, is an obsessive compulsive kind of guy when it comes to his work. I got a chance to watch it first in, last out, actually, the amount of film study and everything like that. This is all he had to focus on for the last month and a half. Now, granted, he has kids and stuff like that, but this is it. It's like, he was ready to go. And you could tell, by the way, hell of a golfer out there.
You know what's funny to see was before the match started, there was props for Brady versus Peyton, like on the course, and then around hole 6 or 7, after Tom did not start so well, I went to go look and find those props to see what was going on with those, and they were no longer available. I did not see those on the sportsbook anymore, so like they took those off because Peyton was dominant.
Oh, he was. And I wonder if he right now is having a conversation with his wife, Ashley. He's like, Ash, I was hitting the ball pretty good. What, I got like a month and a half here I've been golfing? I'm sure we put like a year of work. He's probably in the backyard right now building, there's probably a sand trap. He's like, where was I bad at? I was bad on the sand. Let's get a sand trap in here. Let's get a green with a little bit of undulation. Nope.
Yep.
Undulation. Undulation in there. I need a driving range too over here. I mean, Ash, I think I potentially, now you saw the way Tiger and Phil were playing. How far away am I, Ash? Probably a year train. I wouldn't be surprised if Peyton, and I would hope that this is the case, he does start focusing on golf because, man, you have a round like that on television with money on the line, right? Because everybody's like, well, will you be able to do this with all the eyes on you? Will you be able to do this with money on the line? Will you be able to do this on hole 17, on hole 18? It's like Peyton proved to himself, I'd assume, like, yeah, I could do this if I had to. It was awesome to watch.
We mentioned this a little bit earlier, but even as bad as Tom started, he still had the day, right? He had the most memorable shot.
He had long drive.
He looked the best in the end.
He won the long drive. His clip of him holing out from 150 or whatever is going to get every view, basically. Yeah, Tom had a day.
Eagle putt?
Tom had an eagle putt that he rimmed in there. I mean, Tom had a day.
Split his pants, had to wear the MJ rain pants, the Michael Jordan era rain pants.
He does not look comfortable while walking, by the way. That would alarm me a little bit if I was, and I don't know how long, I don't think I've ever seen Tom Brady in the wild. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not 100% sure I've seen Tom Brady out and about a lot. All I see is videos of him working out from his house, and then game days is all I really see him from. The walk doesn't look like a healthy gait. And the knee brace is a big one that he had on in that photo the day before.
Uh-oh.
What? I'm assuming that he's had this for years up there with guys.
He wasn't walking the way he was yesterday up in New England, I'll tell you that much.
That's probably because the only time you see him walk is after a Toradol shot, I'd assume.
Well, he needs a few of them then.
That's what we're saying this whole time. That's
too old.
New England turning on Tom, by the way. is the most New England thing of all time.
I still love him, just from what I've seen.
Because we were talking about how Peyton wore hats basically of every city, putting on for everywhere. New Orleans is where he's born and raised. Tennessee is where he went to school. I'm surprised there wasn't a Rocky Top rendition from Peyton whenever he did something right. Then he wore something for Denver, Colorado, and then Indianapolis. And I think Diggs asked the question, is there any other quarterback that's beloved in so many cities as Peyton is? Everywhere Peyton has been, he's been beloved. And then you think about Tom Brady, it's like, well, Peyton got cut from Indianapolis. So that's the biggest difference. Peyton got cut from Indy, the press conference, and then he went over to Denver. Tom was forced out of New England, but he was forced out of New England, and he didn't get cut. So I think that's why there's two different views on the whole thing, because the city of Indianapolis, football wasn't real here. Football wasn't real here until Peyton got here, and then Peyton was cut. So the city of Indianapolis was like, this is our guy, and then you just run him out of town. Where in New England, they're like, well, we still got Belichick, to hell with everybody else. There was no real thought, and I think that's why there's two very, very different reactions to Tom and Peyton when he leaves the city.
Brady also left, and look, as competitors and fans, Brady's not on the Patriots anymore. I have to hate him even if I don't want to.
Oh, because you're such a good fan.
Yeah, it's Patriots or die.
You know, I went swimming this weekend.
Get a little loose water in there?
I think so. No, but it's not the same. Okay. But it did freak me out. First hour, I felt a little something. I was like, oh no, is the hole in my eardrum back? But it's not. I think I just got
plungy?
I think I just got a little loosage down there. I'm not plunging. No way. That'll pop the hole in my eardrum again.
I did see you getting your water basketball shots up. It looked good.
Yeah.
How was the hook shot?
Hook shot's not bad. I'm just a straight ahead shooter though. If you get me in there, I'm a set shooter.
Steve Kerr, ask.
No, better than Steve Kerr. That guy stunk.
Yeah, he did kind of stink. Hey, speaking of guys that didn't stink.
Steve Kerr did not stink, by the way. Just would like it to be known. Steve Kerr did not stink, but I do believe 90s basketball wasn't real basketball. It was a completely different sport. It was. I watched Ultimate Frisbee this weekend. That game stinks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on.
Ultimate Frisbee
Good highlights
stinks.
every once in a while.
I've never seen a whiter sport in my life, by the way, but they can't move. So you catch the Frisbee.
You get 3 steps.
Oh, yeah.
You get 3 steps.
You can't move. The ones I was watching, it looked like they didn't move at all. They had to pivot foot. I mean, granted, let's not get crazy. Incredible throws of the Frisbee. There was a couple cool catches, but I just can't get down with a sport where you're running full speed and then you catch it and you have to stop immediately, and then everybody else has to kind of move around it. It's like basketball, there's a way to dribble. The AFL, there's a way to dribble. Obviously, soccer. Like, I just think that is kind of something I can't get down with, but I was impressed by the athleticism of some of those whites out there tossing the old disc around.
Injury concerns, too. You know, you're running full speed. You catch it, you stop. There go both your knees. Miss
Say
the rest
goodbye
of
to
the
your
season.
kneecaps.
the best
I did watch an entire game, though, this weekend. An entire game.
How long does it last?
Forever, it felt like.
Yeah.
But there was a couple highlight catches. There was incredible throws. I mean, I took a Frisbee class in college. I got a C because I couldn't do the forehand thing.
Mm-hmm.
This guy had somebody in his face and did an entire flick of the wrist, like 30, 40 yards or whatever. It was very impressive. But the fact that the game involves you running and then complete stop, not allowed to move, I think that is something that should be flawed or changed a little bit. But good sport, not a bad sport. Not a great sport, but good sport.
You ever watch disc golf?
Oh, you talking about banging chains, dude?
Chains,
Bro, I'll bang chains, dude. Never watched it. I couldn't fathom anything worse. 20 minutes after the hour. Could you imagine watching disc golf?
Oh, I love it. I love disc golf.
Playing it?
Oh, yeah.
Watching it? Yeah, exactly.
Like what Tori was saying, highlights. I can watch highlights all day.
It's a internet clip.
Yeah, that's how I think the Ultimate Frisbee probably is, because there was a couple catches that were insane.
Yeah.
There was some whites out there really going, you know what I mean?
Because you could get lost in it. Like, we get lost in the parkour. You get lost in a Ultimate Frisbee.
The highlights, though.
Exactly, yes.
That's like whenever I was a kid, I went to one of those And One games.
Oh.
You know what I mean? You watch And One on ESPN. You watch And One on the internet. It's all the highlights.
Yeah. Well, you went to like a live event?
Yeah, you go to the game. It is not that. It is terrible.
Really?
And then there's like a couple moments of magic, just like the Harlem Globetrotters. Mm-hmm. Harlem Globetrotters, same thing. They'll have somebody, you know how on the internet you'll see a guy make a shot from the stands? Yeah. That guy's standing up there with balls just getting hucked up to him for potentially like 15, 20 of those, and they just need one of them to fall. Now, granted, some of them probably do fall in the first time, but whenever you only know highlights of a sport and then you go and watch it live, you're like, of course it couldn't have just been highlights the entire time. Of course there's like 45 minutes of absolute grumpy going on. And then the highlights get peppered in there. I assume that's the Ultimate Frisbee world.
Yes.
Because there was some plays in there that I was like, damn. Guy can run a go route. But then they catch the thing and stop running. It's like, this sport.
Get in the end zone.
Let him run.
Let him run.
There's probably a reason why he can't run.
Can you imagine if they were tackling each other?
Let the boy.
I don't know, right? We're probably going to get attacked by a bunch of ultimate frisbeers.
They understand.
They understand. Cornhole on TV, you know why it works? Because it's all highlights.
Yeah.
All you're seeing is guys do great throws. There's no bums out there just throwing, terrible bags out there. I guess there's some trick shot thing going on right now with cornhole.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got added in it. But I think the person that added me is getting paid by the company that's doing it.
Oh.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I don't know what to
Manning?
do. No, it's not. It's not a fire tweet. It was West Virginia stud Jerko, baseball player.
Oh, okay.
Went to West Virginia. He's an incredible cornholer, I guess. And by the way, only see the highlights on the internet. But he seems to be a good cornholer. He's got this Johnsonville trick shot thing going on with cornholes. Johnsonville will donate for every trick shot that is up.
Brats?
The brats.
Oh, nice.
Johnsonville brats. Didn't we have a brat sandwiches last week?
We did.
Yeah.
Brat sandwiches. Who
Yes,
knows
we
what's
did.
in there? What's in brats? Nobody knows, huh? Don't ask. Don't.
Same as hot dogs.
We don't want to know.
A little spicier.
We just don't want to know. 23 minutes after the hour. I gotta go take a grumpy. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show. I don't know why. Oh shit! Hey Steven, fuck you. Don't cut.
And it is off the wall.
Don't cut. This is a good at bat. Hey, nice pitch. I think I just pulled a hammy. Hey, one back. Hey, fuck you, Steven. What inning?
Top of the second.
Jesus.
Here comes McAfee.
I saw that thing jumping out of the glove. Hey, what was that? Would have been nice to take a nap earlier.
Another throw.
Get back.
First. He's going back on it now, coming over the center fielder. Harrison makes the catch.
Cousin! James. What was that? And the catcher goes, I had to give you one.
1-1 pitch.
Let's go!
Line drive right
Son of a
at the
bitch! This is a good at bat. Oh, in my head, it was like, oh, yeah, you're going to drop this for sure. What the fuck are you even doing here? Why'd we sign up for this? What's going on? It all comes down to this. My last at bat. Hey, I'm going to get on. You bring me home.
This is your life on the line, fucker.
Let me tell you something. You're going to take an L, okay? You're going to take one.
I think that the close your eyes and swing method is perfect for you.
Oh, this is hardball.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Jesus. You have no prayer.
Number 1, right fielder, McAfee.
Oh, boy.
McAfee at the plate.
Let's get it. Let's go. Dream house is a tour bus. Scream loud that you knew us. Deep down, I'm the new plug. You ain't about to get too dust. Pete's frown when they crew scrubs. Sweet sound from the two subs. Beats loud as a move, bruh. Leave the crowd like, ooh, what? Long hair on the big thigh. 210s, both sitting shoddy. Cracking fits, start getting rowdy. Blowing nose, looking like an Audi. It's Uncle Sam without the taxes. Crowd stands up, I keep them loud. I made this beat, you hear it smacking? Who is 30? Hand me a nap. You probably wasn't expecting this. What? Expected this?
Yo, if you're listening to the show right now,
yo,
I want you to take a
Hey,
second.
yo.
Yo.
Hey,
Yo.
Yo, 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 yo.
Yo, Zan.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo. If you're listening to the show right now, I want you to take a second. Look, Don. When was the last time you shaved your junk? It's been a while. Don't lie. Let's take a second to thank our sponsor, Manscaped, for holding you accountable to get rid of the funk and shaving the junk. Talking points.
Please hit them.
Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene. Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0 Essential Kit. The perfect tools for your family jewels. The Perfect Package 3.0 comes with the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. It's waterproof, it's cordless, and it's a body trimmer. And it has tons of liquid formulations to round out your manscaping routine.
Are those the talking points there?
Yeah.
Yeah, nailed it. Yeah, you nailed it. It's a body trimmer.
It does things.
It does charge.
Yes.
Back up.
It has a light.
Hey, great light, by the way. It
does.
illuminates the areas
Oh,
just
yeah.
in case you want a little bit of under. You know, by the way, fresh.
Yo! Whoa!
Fre-
Look at those things.
So white you can't see him.
Foxy, just please. You almost made me break my ankle.
Hey,
there.
white balance the camera, Foxy.
Jeez, Foxy.
Oh, come on.
You seem like the TNT Bleacher Report coverage for the first 2 holes,
This is how
pal.
it's always been. They're just so fresh that the camera can't see them.
Sam washed them this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
I love a good wash.
Well, I wore these one time to golf. You remember I had these, I wore these somewhere.
Yes.
And they wouldn't let me golf barefoot. So I showed up. I had these, first day I had them. I wear them to a golf course to go golf.
Yep.
I'm like, no big deal. Take them off. I go barefoot anyways. As soon as I get there, they're all hardos. Like, you can't golf barefoot. Then the person followed us around the course because he knew I was going to take off my shoes. So I had to golf in these shoes. They got ruined. Sam this weekend said, here's a gift. I wash your shoes.
Brand new.
So this is my second time ever wearing them brand new, but you should have seen them before. I mean, after...
Like you mowed the lawn in them.
Yeah, it looked like you were manscaping your entire junk and it was just falling all over.
Those aren't grass cutting shoes.
No, these are not grass cutting shoes. Sorry, Zeke.
Hey, let me call some action real quick.
Please do.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code America at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code America. You're part of your body and your balls. Well, thank you.
Atta baby Z.
Hey, baby Z.
Thank you, guys.
Nick, you need to go to NHL.com to figure out this entire protocol. But the NHL has issued an update on phased return to sport protocol. The National Hockey League today announced the framework that will govern players and clubs in Phase 2, the transition period following self-quarantine. Protocol for this is available on NHL.com. Okay, so the NHL and the NHLPA have been the best in the world at doing nothing but making announcements about doing nothing. The 24-team playoff setup that the NHL put out last week, allegedly from a guy named
Elliot Friedman.
There
and
it
Chris
is.
Johnson.
Elliot Johnson. Elliot who?
Elliot Friedman and Chris Johnson.
There it is. 2 highly respected NHL people, right? There we go. Thank you. Here it is. So there's a 24-team playoff that's being pitched out there. The top 4 seeds from pre-quarantine will battle it out to see who's number 1, who's number 2, who's 3, and who's 4 on either side. Then the other teams will have a play-in round, which will be a best-of-5 series. These will be held in biodomes. It was the original thought. Nobody knows if that's correct or not. This potential idea was pitched to the NHLPA last week, and whether or not they would be up for this. The NHLPA voted to continue conversations about this thing, which they voted to do nothing, right? They didn't say, yeah, we'll do it. They didn't say, no, we won't do it. They basically voted to say, hey, there's a lot of things that you guys are going to have to figure out, safety-wise, health-wise, travel-wise, things of that nature. But we vote that we are here to listen to you guys figure it out, which is very nice of them, by the way. But I don't know why you need to have a vote to hear out an idea to potentially play the sport that you're paid to play. I don't understand it, but this concept and idea from the NHL is one that I am looking forward to mightily, because this, just like the NBA, is going to be unlike anything we have ever seen before in the sport, and I think it'll provide some electricity, and I can't wait for the Pittsburgh Penguins to mow down the Canadians. The Philadelphia Flyers are obviously going to end up at 4 there if those 4 are to play. Take them out completely, and the Pittsburgh Penguins go on and win the COVID Cup. And thankfully, the NHLPA has voted to allow conversations to make things happen in the future potentially, and the NHL is laying out protocols to potentially make things happen in the future. But I like this idea. I like this concept. Shout out to the NHL being very quiet, by the way. This entire time they've been very quiet. Now they're kind of hitting in the last week like, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. Let's keep it moving forward.
Yeah, so they agreed to the format essentially, but now there's the particulars. Like, is it going to be 5-game series, 7-game series? Where do we play at? So that's what the ongoing talks are for. And that memo they sent out is about 20 pages long and a lot of legalese
Did you read
in
it?
there.
Get your highlighter
I
out.
skimmed it, but there's a lot to dig through.
Get your
there.
highlighter out, pal.
Come on, we need a highlight. That's like, I mean, Nick.
Wow.
Nick, you went to school for 9 years,
Hockey
10
guy.
years.
Yeah,
You're a professional.
it's got to digest it. Take some time. Look at that.
Just read it.
Just read it, Nick. You
I
read it.
no. Because if I read it, you guys go, oh, blah, 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 and that's hockey talk, and you jump to the next thing. So I'm not going to read it.
Not if you read it.
So you're saying
if you read
you're
it.
not reading it because we won't give you enough respect for
I
reading
refuse to read it.
20 pages?
I refuse to read it.
Nick, it might be, this is a part of global concern here.
I
at this
choose
point.
not to read.
It'll never happen again, Nick. Open your eyes.
We have all voted that you should reconsider your thought about not reading and considering the people that are listening to this show.
Yeah.
We all voted.
I'll give you my highlighter, too.
All in favor of Nick with Diggs' highlighter in reading these 20 pages so that listeners who don't know anything about hockey could potentially learn a little bit more about hockey potentially coming back. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay. Mitt.
He doesn't even get a vote.
Useless.
Mitt doesn't even get a vote.
Did Jay vote?
Nah.
Jay,
By the way, a lot of people tell me that person on YouTube questions was him, not me.
Oh, he does wear a hat.
Did have a hat on.
So the guy
quite an oversight by the guy that.
which kind of makes me feel better about this. Let's go to Antonio down there in Charlotte. Antone, what's going on?
Hey, boys, how you doing? Spotify doesn't know what they're missing.
Oh, or do they? Or do they, Antone? Anyways, what do you want to talk about, Bob? That's a big bag, by the way.
I'm trying to petition to get Tom Brady the most decorated QB as opposed to the GOAT in a few simple questions.
Okay, go ahead.
One, have you put together the list of QBs that he had to face? As you've always said, the easiest way to get into the playoffs is win your division, and the list of QBs that he had to play is a joke. Number two.
Well. Wait, Antone. I don't think has any quarterback ever lined up at corner against Tom Brady.
No. Don't believe so.
Has any other quarterback lined up at D tackle against Tom Brady?
Not that I'm aware of.
Has any quarterback ever been the defensive coordinator against the New England Patriots offense?
Can't say so.
No.
I'm just telling you what people in the Tom Brady camp would say. Well, that makes no sense because he's not playing against them. He's playing against defenses, one of which that was manned by Rex Ryan for a long time, long-noted defensive coordinator and good football brain in the football world. But I can respect what you're saying because you think the AFC East stinks. You know why the AFC East has stunk? Probably because the Patriots have been there for so long, handing out L's to everybody else in the division. Now, I'm not saying that the Jets don't stink by themselves. I'm not saying that the Dolphins haven't stunk all by themselves or that the Bills have stunk all by themselves. But, boy, it's a lot easier to look like you stink when you have the greatest dynasty in the history of football in it for 20 years. That's just something that they would say.
Well, Bill Belichick also said in that recent documentary that when Saban left, that was the happiest day of his life. It might have been a joke, but do you think Saban would have passed on Drew Brees the second time if he stayed in Miami?
The Brady, the Belichick Saban coaching
Nick,
thing.
the two coach, when they sat down at a in their basement, it seemed like in a man cave, they're just telling football stories to each other. Those two guys.
Two Bills.
Two Bills.
No, that wasn't it.
That was Parcells and Belichick.
Yeah.
That was a very good. That was a very good piece there too. Yeah. The Parcells Belichick thing was real. Parcells, I think, felt a little heat with Belichick on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
As he should, the best of all time there. And then the Browns obviously fired him.
Big data.
Then he said, "Peace out to the Giants. I'm out of here. I'm going up to New England and start a dynasty because we can control the weather up there."
Peace to the Jets too.
Smart.
That's what Bill Belichick said. He did say peace to the Jets, didn't he?
Yep.
See you, pal. He was, 2 days? 1 day?
Wrote it on a napkin or something?
Yeah, he wrote it on a napkin.
See you later.
I quit. This place stinks. And I'm going into the division future. I don't know if they were in the same division back then. I think there's some college coaches that just suck in the NFL. Like, I think Saban's one of those guys. Now, I might be wrong. I could be wrong. I think Petrino, a guy who was at Louisville, goes to the Atlanta Falcons. I think he's stunk in the NFL. And if you talk to any player that played for the Atlanta Falcons whenever he was there, they said that guy stunk. Everything about him stunk. We weren't allowed to eat on planes. We weren't allowed to eat at dinner. Hey, I'm 35 years old, pal. Okay, I've been in the NFL a lot longer than you, and you won't let me speak at dinner? I mean, get the hell out of here. There's some people in their brains just aren't cut out to be in the NFL. That's just the way it goes. Some people have a lot of success in college, and everybody's like, okay, they're going to be great. Then they go to the NFL, and it's just a whole different world. It's a whole different game. It's a whole different management style. It's a whole different motivation style. Everything's a lot different. Not everybody can make the change. I think Saban's one of those guys who, unfortunately, when we look back on it, we'll say that guy was a bad NFL coach, but greatest college coach of all time. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I think Petrino's the same thing. Now you talk about guys like Pete Carroll, who's been able to make the transition in a beautiful fashion. He had NFL experience before he went to college and goes back out there. I think that's great. Cliff Kingsbury, what will the record say about him as a head coach at Texas Tech in Arizona? I think there's always going to be the thought, yeah, you might have had success in college, but can you do it in the NFL? And there's some coaches who are always going to want to scratch that itch, but there's some guys that just shouldn't make the jump because it's a whole different world up there. And we're talking egos, we're talking money, we're talking grown-ass men that don't want to do your childish BS.
Pros don't really care about what a guy did in college either, do they?
Not one bit. Just like they don't care what anybody else has done in college.
Mm-hmm.
You look around the locker room, you see a lot of superstars in college, okay? You look around the locker room, you're like, okay, there's Peyton Manning. That guy was pretty good in college. Reggie Wayne, that guy was pretty good in college. And then you start just looking around everywhere. Bob Sanders, what he did. I mean, you look, Dallas, you look, everybody did good in college. So it's not like, you know what, since he did good in college, this guy automatically going to be a great coach. It's like, we all did good in college. That's why we're in the NFL, pal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, there's some exceptions of guys who come from tiny little schools and maybe don't play well, but then they test well, and everybody's like, you know what? With that speed and everything like that, we can maybe make them a special teamer, and then hopefully they'll be able to learn the offense or defense. But I don't think anybody gives a damn. That's just like Urban Meyer. I had questions on whether or not Urban Meyer would be able to make it in the NFL because it's so different. And then A.J. Hawk, who knows Urban Meyer, said he thinks he would be able to make the transition. It's like, okay, I believe it because Urban Meyer's a damn good coach, but not everybody's going to be able to do it. Like Rich Rodriguez, for instance, there's a guy that I'm not 100% sure would have success in the NFL just by the way he coaches. Self-admittedly only knows one way. And I think that way is great. I think he had a lot of success at Ole Miss last year. I can't believe nobody signed him. I thought he was going to get a head coaching gig potentially. I think he's on as an advisor role somewhere, but I don't think he would have been able to make it in the NFL as a head coach, and I don't think he wants to, but that's just, it's a different world up there, man. It is just a different
Greg Schiano, too. It seems like the guys who are a little more strict don't really...
Yeah, well, because it's a dictator type thing, right? Mm-hmm. And in college, you kind of have to because you got some 18-year-old guys who maybe a little bit of flyers, red flags, can't get it together. They're nowhere near men yet. This is their first time ever experiencing some things. So the coach has to be the guy that creates a boy from boys to men, you know? Mm-hmm. So you have to control every single moment of the player's life. In college, every single moment of your life is basically dictated by the head coach of the football team. Now, classes come in, and I don't think the coaches are scheduling anybody's classes, but the workouts, the mandatory study hall, you got this, you got that in the offseason. It's like every single moment is dictated by the coach. In the NFL, it's a very different world. Some for the better, some for the worse, but in the NFL, it's a much different time. And you have, I can't state this enough, 40-year-olds sometimes playing on there who've been around football just as long as you. So it's just a different world. If you can adjust your style, I think that's incredible as a coach. But some guys are meant for college, some guys are meant for the NFL, and I don't know if Saban's a guy that was meant for the NFL.
Is that why you think like Harbaugh? Do you think he'll ever go back to the NFL? Because he
had success in the NFL though.
Right.
He had success in the NFL. Now, it was only for a few years or whatever, but he had success in the NFL. What was it? Was he Stanford, then San Fran to Michigan?
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah, so there's a guy that I would assume if you asked a lot of his Stanford players weren't sure if he would have made the transition to NFL. He did, had success, then went back to college. I think he's a guy that a lot of NFL teams have been calling for.
Does it also help that he was an NFL quarterback?
Yeah, I think experience in the NFL is a big deal.
Because I remember a lot of the talk came out after he left San Francisco to go back to Michigan that a lot of his players were like, yeah, we were done with him. Like his style got old and
it wore out or
right.
whatever. And from what I've been told, I guess he knows that too. Like Harbaugh very much understands that. It's like me. Like I'm not for everybody, and I'm gonna wear on you probably after a little while. But I just think there's some coaches that want nothing to do with the NFL too, college guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, I'm not in it for that. I'm in it for this. I like building. We talked to Satterfield, and they enjoy the process of like creating men and everything like that. It's just two very, very different styles of coaching.
Do you think guys like that, like for instance PJ Fleck, like do you think he would be successful no matter where he went?
I think he's going to try to get to the NFL. I'm not 100% sure, actually. I don't know. He's going to get offered some massive jobs. And Minnesota had to re-up him and extend him and give a bunch of things because of the success he's had there and how good he is as a speaker and a motivator and a unifier and everything like that. We try to get him to run for president, I think. We try our best. But I don't know. I think that's all on PJ Fleck. I feel like he's a guy who could potentially go to the NFL. I think some of the stuff would have to dial it down a little bit. I don't think if everybody's going to buy into the rowing the boat. I mean, that'll still be his style. I don't know if you're going to get guys in a boat, though. I don't know if you're going to get guys, but I don't know if that's what PJ does either. I've never been coached by PJ Fleck. I don't know the inside. But I think if PJ wants to have success, I'd assume he'd have success in different places. Let's go to Al in Thunder Bay, Canada. Ooh. What's going on, Al?
Oh, just doing the thing here.
Hey.
Happy Memorial Day to you and yours.
Hey, pal, we're doing a thing down here. We appreciate you.
All right, thank you. So basically what I wanted to know, in your opinion, is what type of athlete would be better suited for the most trash talking in the match 3? I'm personally biased to hockey players, but hockey players with personality, your PK Subans and Brand Marchands of the world.
Thank you so much for that question, Al. You're a hockey guy, obviously from Canada. I appreciate that. Do hockey players chirp that much? It's more like the refs. Don't the refs do most of the chirping?
No, the players chirp a lot. But like he said, they don't do it in the manner that you're going to hear about it. They're doing it to each other, and you're never going to hear about it. It's never going to be like mic'd up chirping.
Hey, that was Tiger, by the way. Tiger took like 7 little jabs yesterday that nobody even heard. It was just classic golf jabs or whatever. He's like, you're out or something like that.
He said like when he put one right down the middle, he's like, right down the middle. That's tough.
Yeah, there was a lot of subtlety out of Tiger Woods.
On 7, Brady sliced, and he said, that one will be on the fairway.
On 7, yeah. It's just classic golf jokes, out of Tiger. Watching Tiger smile, though, and kind of like enjoy a round, like I think that was cool. But I don't know which. I think you get D lineman out there. I wish we could get D lineman in there. That would be the best. If you get D lineman, maybe a corner or two who chirps a little, like a lot of people said Richard Sherman. I don't know if Richard Sherman's good enough at golf, though, to talk. Like, that's the thing. You can only talk whenever you are worth a single damn at a sport. And that would be the issue. A lot of hockey players are good at golf, though. A lot of hockey players are good at golf. Hey, did you read that thing or not?
No, not yet.
Come on.
Nick,
Come on, dude.
Read it.
I got a guy who's going to read it. Give me all the important stuff.
No, this is the guy he's using. It's the NHL Rumors Daily guy.
NRD.
Yeah, but he's going to start expecting payment because Nick pawns off all of his jobs on this guy. This guy tweeted me twice this week, and he was like, hey, if you want any, I'm your go-to source or whatever. It's like, well, I thought Nick was, and I start realizing, no, Nick just pawns off all his work on NHL Rumors Daily.
Wow. It's plugged in. It's got sources.
Guy's good, by the way. At NHL Rumors Daily.
NRD.
If you care about hockey, which we're talking to a niche group here, NHL Rumors Daily is the guy to go to. No problem.
Besides you and John, obviously, like MJ's the next one that you would want to watch the match, correct?
Because the only video I've ever seen of Michael Jordan playing golf, he's terrible. Yeah. They've only shown bad clips of Michael Jordan playing golf. I would assume that was a tactic used by him to hustle people potentially. But yeah, I think with Peyton and Tiger now holding the championship belts, you get Jordan out there, maybe with Koepka. Maybe it's Jordan Koepka. Is there a
Keegan
Jordan
Bradley is a Jordan Brand guy.
So there would be Jordan and Keegan Bradley, who I've never heard of. I have no idea who's Keegan Bradley.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I think he's won a major. I think
he's in the Jordan Brand. If he's in Jordan Brand, it means he's passed some sort of test. So Jordan and Keegan probably next, I would assume. Brooks Koepka really felt like he was trying to get into the next one. By the way, a little bit of action. Maybe it's Brooks Koepka and Russell Wilson, who donated 300,000 meals. 300,000 meals were donated by Russell Wilson. This guy, Russell Wilson, who could have just been hanging out on his Sunday, could have been having, a nice family time, could have been out there getting better or whatever. What he said is nay. Nay. Me and Sierra, what we want to do, because we not only represent our family in her music in the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Yankees. We want to make the world a better place as well. They do an interview. He donates 300,000 meals.
Wow.
And the only person that didn't get closest to the pin that could have donated another 100,000 meals was Tiger, actually. So Russell Wilson stepped up to the plate like he does as a Yankee and hit it out of the park and being such a good guy. We have to get to a break here on radio, 48 minutes after the hour. Russell Wilson, real human hero, thanks to him and everybody else. We'll wrap up hour 2 here on this beautiful Memorial Day. You're listening to The Pat McAfee Show.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Pat McAfee. Used to hold balls for Adam Vinatieri. Now I'm in his home state. College game day is absolutely electric. In Brookings, South Dakota. Let's go!
College game day has made the voyage to Brookings, South Dakota to experience a game with the best fans in college football. I unfortunately cannot attend because I have a game this Sunday, so I sent a man I trust to make my picks. A man who was my holder for almost a decade. Please be nice to him. Welcome this week's celebrity guest picker, Pat McAfee.
Go big, go blue, go Jacks.
Hosting Auburn. Yes, everybody saw this. The best fake punt in the world. What do you think, Pat?
I absolutely loved it all the way up until execution time. That is not one we like to show in the brand headquarters and punting and kicking world.
Oh, dance off. Oh, let's get weird. Yes. Duck that, huh?
Bang! Right on the top of the dome. That makes it a lot easier when you got a dummy standing right in front of you like that.
Running. He's Hallelujah! Daniel Russo.
Wax on, wax off, knee to the face.
World Series.
Go,
yes.
go, yes.
These teams stick with that 15. They celebrate by doing shotguns. And I know they figured it out. I'm going with the University of Virginia Cavaliers. That was great. Whoa! I will never, ever in the history of my life cut against that ball. Oklahoma State is a win here. It doesn't matter. Not so fast again.
But I'm going with Trey.
Please excuse my dumb friend Kirk. Look at this crowd. They've been out here since 4 a.m. College game day comes to town. They lose their mind. The population of this state is about 800,000. And when the Jackrabbits take the field, they're alongside all 800,000 South Dakotans. The Dakota marker was in Fargo for far too long. Today, 5 o'clock local time, the Dakota marker is back in beautiful Brookings, South Dakota. Vinatieri School. They might be the Jackrabbits, but they're the GOATs today. Ladies and gentlemen, South Dakota State with the win.
Give me that vice head.
No, don't do that. No. Leave. Coach.
He has the
Pat says it'll be no.
I told you I came on your radio show that we were going to get you on College Game Day.
Not only are you incredibly intelligent and handsome, you're a man of your word. You picked North Dakota today, so I had to bury you.
That's okay.
But it's been nothing but incredible. The College Game Day crew is hospitable. In South Dakota State, I think we can all agree, they showed up here.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I've watched the show, obviously, forever. And it's on in every single NFL locker room. I told you that. So this is a big-time deal for me, my family, my friends.
All right, I'm back in the day here.
Appreciate you, boys.
It's from the training room of the Colts. A.J. Watt tweeted. I have texts from every human that I've ever done television with, like since way back in the day. They're like, we knew this day would come. Equipment managers, old teammates. I mean, you don't get to trend on Twitter often anymore. They make it damn near impossible. Go up onto a stage with a couple legends, talk some shit in front of the incredible South Dakota fans. What an awesome opportunity.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. Got about 10 seconds left. Perfect 30 seconds. Sorry. Such perfect timing for us to go to a radio break. We'll get the minutes after the radio shuts off here at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. Mitt, by all accounts, has had a terrible morning. I assume his minutes will be legendary and great. Today was a great show. We can't thank Charles Robinson for joining us enough. Enjoy your holiday. Be thankful to those that did badass things in the past. From all of us to all of you, we'll see you manana. This has been The Pat McAfee Show. Okay, here we go. Shout out to the radio stations, by the way, who have to hate everything we just did. Literally. For those who watch on YouTube, you have no idea that there's a constant juggle happening in my earpiece of radio commercials, then coming back. We're supposed to do it at 15 and 35. I would assume those numbers in times are studied out by the radio people. Like, hey, here's a good time to go because there's not a lot of people listening. 35, here's a good time to go. There's not a lot of people listening. And granted, I don't think there's a lot of people listening anyways right now because they're locked in quarantine, potential Memorial Day, doing whatever you got to do. But we blow right through those. And there's a guy named Don in our ear. Don's a great guy, but I assume he gets a lot of fucking shit. I assume Don gets a lot of shit. And we apologize for that, Don. But today, we had so much to talk about. And to remind us about everything is our intern who shows up stumbling drunk every morning, intern Mullet Mitt. What's going on, Mitt? Let's talk about it, Mitt. Let's have a day, Mitt.
Here we go, Mitt.
Here we go, Mitt.
Malt liquor, Mitt. Here you go.
Let's go, Mitt.
All right, happy Memorial Day, guys. We talked about the match yesterday. Match number 2 was not a dud. Nothing was hot at the start, but then Tiger Woods came in, started to pick it up. The first 2 holes, a little awkward.
Jesus, man.
Let's go back.
Was that opinion, Mitt?
It was a little opinion Mitt came in there early. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go to the top. Okay, we could have cut you off and ended that.
Oh yeah.
He said Tiger Woods came in and started picking. Tiger Woods was hot from the start,
from the get go.
I might kick this guy in the teeth.
Tiger?
No, Mitt.
Well, Mitt had a long weekend. It's a holiday, but what Mitt has is grit, okay? Mitt's father is one of the grittiest humans I've ever seen in my life.
Exactly.
Grew up on a horse farm. It's in his DNA. Mitt will be able to fight through this and deliver nothing but magic here in Mullet Mitt's Minutes, Monday, May 25th, Memorial Day, from the top. Here we go.
All right, happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day, Mitt. Happy Memorial Day, Mitt.
The match number 2 was not a dud.
Bingo.
Slow start for the first 2 holes, a little awkward with the commentary, but once it all started rolling, it became electric.
There it is.
There you go. Look at that, Mitt.
Phil's beautiful calves, him bombing balls and coaching everyone up, including myself. Brady's golf game wasn't the best out of the group, but had 2 of the most electric shots of the event. Tom Brady looked like an actual human for once, which was awesome to see.
It was.
We all need to figure out what the heck happened with Matt Castle.
Yep.
We
what do you
talked
think
about
that was? PG-13, by the way. So,
Well, I assume it's something similar to another story we've heard about Castle.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
all right. Well, hats off to Peyton's golf game. He was prepared as expected. It was very well announced. The golfers talking was very good. Overall, just was a home run of an event. We talked about Connor the Liger, which stands for Lefty Tiger. I didn't know you were very good at golf, Connor.
he's not. He stinks.
I am.
But that's not,
Finally.
your minutes aren't wrong for that because he fucking stinks. Unbelievable. He's fucking terrible. Hey, we were asked by a golf course not to come back because of what he was doing.
Lefty Tiger.
I'm not surprised, but can
Lefty
we
like
please,
Tiger, Joe Exotic Tiger. That's
Can we, as Americans, can we please get a round 3 with Peyton and Tiger staying and Pat and John Daly coming on?
challenge.
There you go.
We would like to challenge them.
We had Charles Robinson coming on, talked about Jamal Adams to the Cowboys. What burr in the saddle is. I guess it's the same as a snake in your boot. I don't know what either of those are.
Yeah,
we talked about Jamal's contract extension. It's viewed as a next year problem by the Jets, and they were not shopping him around. But if you're 13-3, you don't pick up the phones for guys. If you're the Jets, you kind of do. We talked about Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was brought in because he was tall. Jadeveon Clowney is signing a huge pay cut with the Titans as a 1-year prove it, or maybe going and signing a longer deal with the Browns.
Okay, all right.
We went. Is Dak Prescott's new deal on Dak Prescott or not? The 5th year is still just what is coming up.
Cool glasses.
I got some cool glasses. Yeah, right there. All right, cool glasses.
Hey, thank you, Mitt. Thank you.
We had July 15th is the last day for Dak to sign.
Bingo.
And if he doesn't, then we'll look at a Kirk Cousins-like situation for him next year.
Oh, hey, that was a good pull there.
Well
Nobody
said,
thought you were
Mitt.
going to pull that out.
We have Pat is getting into fantasy football next year.
Maybe.
You already said it, though.
I know. I did say it, but let's assume that I'm going to definitely back out of that one.
Okay.
That sounds like something I'm going to back out of. Hey, cool glasses, Connor.
Hey, cool glasses, Pat.
Thank you, Connor.
Eli Manning created a Twitter.
These ones?
It was hilarious.
These are Shady Rays.
Me too.
Really? Those are Shady Rays too?
Yeah, they didn't pay for this though, so let's pipe down a little bit.
Okay.
Eli Manning created a Twitter. It was hilarious. It was all for an ad deal.
Still cool.
I really hope
so
that Peyton
different.
gets one. What?
Yeah, we're just having a conversation about our cool glasses. Zito, cool glasses.
Whoa, Z.
Cool glasses.
Zito, cool glasses. Look how stupid Foxy's face looks like without the
wait,
glasses.
wait,
No.
Sorry, too late, Foxy.
Oh, cool!
Whoa, where'd you get
Cool
those?
Good luck finishing with how
glasses.
cool Foxy looks like. Oh, Diggs, cool glasses.
Oh, thanks, man.
Whoa, those are cool.
Sorry, Mitt.
Ty, cool shirt.
All right. Well, the AFL is back. We have a Dusty Johnson versus Coxzilla matchup, June 11th.
Yeah, here we go. It is Dusty.
If we're being honest, Dusty Johnson versus Coxzilla kind of sounds like a porn matchup.
Yeah, you're right.
let's
Wait
go.
till you see what Coxzilla downs Dusty Johnson.
Coxzilla, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
Coxzilla's
represent.
going to swallow Dusty Johnson's.
5:30 morning wake up call for that one.
Swallow.
That'll be pretty tough. But I hope everyone had a fantastic Memorial weekend. The state of Indiana has completely forgotten about quarantine.
Bingo.
Charles Barkley being called a fat ass was hilarious.
Justin Thomas shot up. Hey, by the way, we became big fans of Justin Thomas
There
at
you
that
go, JT.
moment.
Yep, let's go, Justin Thomas. Russell Wilson donated some money.
I do feel like Charles Barkley is potentially how I'm going to be built later. So I do expect people to call me a fat ass at that point. I looked at his body and I was like, a lot of ex-athletes who get into television
He's got big legs.
get into super good shape, right? That's kind of like the thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we love doing the fitness and we eat the kale and things like that. Charles Barkley is the blueprint for what I think my body's going to eventually become if I stay in this type of world for long enough. So, by the way, I expect to be called a fat ass at that point.
Hey, good realm to be in. You and Chuck.
Yeah, amen. I'm getting a bogey or better though at 18th.
Yeah,
No doubt.
You are.
For sure. Well, maybe. We don't know what the yips I'm going to battle here in a couple of years. They could come.
Nah.
And they could go. Could I Peyton Manning it or Tom Brady it? Maybe. We'll see. Come on, man.
Well, this event couldn't have ever happened without Corona circumstances, but a crowd would have made it absolutely electric.
Bingo.
How close are Peyton Manning and Tony Romo's golf games? Do you think that Peyton Manning could hold his own in a pro tournament? We talked about how in the moment gambling editions were awesome, and we really wish that we could bring them to actual PGA Tour events. Would make golf way more exciting to watch.
Bingo. Did we save golf? Possibly
Probably.
they did.
Tom was probably the worst golfer out of the four, but did he win the day? He had the longest
That's it.
drive.
It's all right.
All right.
It's not probably. Definitely the worst golfer.
I just didn't want to really throw him under the bus that hard.
Oh,
but-
good guy.
But
He's doing just fine.
Good guy, Mitt. You're reading the minutes, though.
Yeah, the minutes are facts.
Do your job, Mitt.
Unless that was Mitt's opinion.
I think that might have been a mess up right there.
Yeah, man, that's all right. Not a bad run. Hey, Mitt. Not a bad run. Coming out of Memorial Day weekend is a 21-year-old, too, by the way.
Oh, jeez.
Couldn't even fathom if I was asked to show up somewhere and even speak. Wouldn't be able to do it. So good for you. I'd been asleep till probably 2, maybe 3.
Well, he blacked back in during the episode, so I mean.
Yeah, he was pretty blacked out there when he showed up.
Exactly. So he should have.
The lights were off there when he walked in. Just a bag of bones stumbling through our office, throwing shit off the wall, trying to make as much noise as possible.
Bad weekend to be a beer around Mitt.
Yeah. Don't even talk about the vodka. What? Tequila. What? Boats. What? Hose. What? Beer. What? Bongs. What? Mitt. What? Mitt. What? Mitt. What? That's the show. Happy Memorial Day. Whenever you're taking some time to yourself, maybe you're sitting on a couch watching something, maybe going to the bathroom, think back that you don't have to be for the war or anything of that nature to think about the humans that signed up to do a duty that they thought was doing the world favor. That's what Memorial Day is all about. Or you can just get blackout drunk like Emmett did. We're back tomorrow. Another Pat McAfee show here. YouTube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. You're the best of all time. Cheers. Have a great day.